World, drowning in noise. What is truth? Confusion is weaponized. Doubt is a currency. Ancient heresies, repackaged for a new generation, spread in an instant. The foundations of the Christian faith are challenged every single day. This is the front line. This is Nobody Apologetics. We are not a sanctuary from the questions. We are the arena where they are met. Welcome to the plot. We do two things here. First, we defend. This is the gauntlet. We don't believe in echo chambers. We don't hide from hard conversations. We run towards the challenge. You think that's wrong? You believe you have the argument that dismantles it? Good. We've been waiting for you. Right now, the guest request line is open. If you're a skeptic, a member of another faith, or a Christian who simply disagrees, we are challenging you to speak. Get in the queue. Prepare your argument. We will see you in the arena, live. But defending is only half the mission. After the challenge comes the armory. After the debate comes the deep dive. This is where we build. For the next several hours, we will go beyond the sound bites. We will open the scriptures. We will read the saints. We will explore the deep history, philosophy, and theology of the Orthodox faith together. This is not for the faint of heart. This is where we equip the one body, where we turn doubt into understanding, and understanding into unshakable confidence. The gauntlet is thrown. The study is prepared. The show starts now. One body. Truth needs defenders.
Listen, yo. You already know what time it is. Get your little dancey dance.
Nobody,
Hold on.
nobody,
Hold on.
nobody, 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 nobody,
Welcome to the semi-shizzy. This is a test live, because look, we are trying to have some type of upgrade somehow, some way. Okay. I don't even know what's going on. So so we gotten a new chat, right? New chat system. Okay. And I'm testing it live out to see how it works. I was supposed to wait for Elijah to talk to me tomorrow. But I'm impatient. So I was trying to figure it out right now. And as we see here on the left side, right, if you're on YT and you're on TikTok, so Jackie just commented the dance emojis, but look, that's what popped up. Look, see, comment emoji and then that happened. So I was going live really to test that, right? I was going live to test the chat and get the chat working properly. It's not working properly. So I really don't know what to do for real. If there's I don't know, any experts out there that's willing to help me, that would be great. But till then, I don't know. Let's see. Somebody wants to come up on TikTok. Yo.
Yo, can you hear me?
Ooh, turn it down a little bit, my fault. Yep. What's up, man?
Yeah, I have a quick question. Do you believe that God can lie?
Can what?
Can lie?
Lie?
Yeah.
And I don't believe God can lie.
Do you hold to like the hypostatic union?
Yeah.
Okay, so it is the case that God can like be limited or be mutable, but he can't lie. So what would be the symmetry breaker?
Between immutability and lying?
Between being mutable and lying, yeah. And not being able to lie.
What's the correlation? What?
The correlation is that you want to say there is no metaphysical possibility for um God to be mutable in
What do you
respect
think
to his human
mutability
nature,
means? What do you think mutability means?
having the aptitude to change.
Okay, so what is it about lying that obligates changing, going from point A to point D to point B in regards to your nature and your ontology?
No, no, I'm not saying that. I'm
That's what
saying
that's
that,
what mutability would mean or obligate when it comes to God. His ontology
yeah,
is changing. So what it is about lying that correlates
I
to
I
the
wasn't trying
ontology
to
changing?
I wasn't trying to show a symmetry between lying and changing. I was trying to show the symmetry between that there being no metaphysical possibility for God to be mutable, even though he is immutable qua divine nature, but lie, right? Because you're saying it's impossible for God to lie simpliciter, right, regardless of the nature.
Okay.
But it's not impossible for God to be mutable in respect to some nature, right?
I believe God is immutable regardless. I don't believe that when Christ incarnated, he became mutable.
Wait, when he incarnated, was he a human?
Yeah,
Did he not go from like being a child to being a grown man?
that's not a. So okay, I'm gonna help you out again. I'm gonna help you out again. Mutability is a change in ontology. First off, the divine hypostasis, the naked hypostasis, is immutable regardless because it doesn't change from being a divine hypostasis. There is no intrinsic change to the naked hypostasis. That's first. Secondly, when he assumes humanity to himself, an assumption does not obligate an ontological change in the naked hypostasis. So, growing, right? The hypostasis growing via the quality humanity does not have any ontological change to the naked hypostasis. Therefore, immutability, especially divine immutability, is not hinged upon.
Well, first of all, do you assume that when we invoke the term mutability qua ontology, do you think that necessarily infers only intrinsic mutability, or
Yeah,
can it be
if we're talking,
extrinsic?
no, first off, if you're talking about the concept or the doctrine of divine immutability, that is intrinsic immutability based off the ontology of God.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about, and
You're not talking
I
about
mean,
divine immutability.
just immutability in general.
Well,
If you
the
take
thing that's
them
a
both to be the same.
well, the thing that's doctrine, the thing that's doctrine, and the thing that's binding on us is the doctrine of divine immutability. So I don't
Okay,
really know
then
what you're
what's
talking about. I don't even know what you're talking about uh, as far as foreign. You know what I'm saying? Foreign immutability. Like, what is that? I don't even know what you're talking
I mean, well, what's the difference? Because this does seem confusing. What's the difference between divine immutability and immutability in general?
Divine immutability is going to be speaking about the divine ontology. Immutability is just about something in it of it's just something changing or not changing, right? Like the freaking this crumbled up piece of paper. If I crumbled it up, it went through a change per se. It's still paper technically, but because if we're just talking about basic, just only if you can change or if you cannot change, the paper technically changed because it crumbled up. But nothing
Okay,
about the
so
ontology of the paper changed.
okay, yeah, so you agree that the person Jesus qua human nature is mutable, but he's
No, because
divinely immutable.
no, because I don't believe the person changed at all. The person
You
never
said that
stopped being.
immutability. Hold on, you said, oh, okay, wait, hold on. What's the, because this is like confused. second definition you gave, was that for mutability or immutability? Not about
That's
divine
just talking
immutability.
about changing. Like you say, if you're just saying that immutability is something not changing, and you're not qualifying or defining what you're meaning by changing, anybody can just put anything on changing. I'm showing you the dishonesty of the question or the categories that you're trying to talk
No,
through. That's all I'm
immutability
saying.
can just mean no immutability can just mean no change implicator, whether
That's what I'm
extrinsic or
saying. So no qualification, just in and of itself. That's just what I just said. So if
yeah.
it's
So
just,
is
if there's no qualification, I'm
is
highlighting
there
that there can be a dishonesty in what you're asking.
no because it's not well. First of all, you're saying that I'm not being informative there, but no, I'm saying it's implicator. So that would like range over extrinsic change, intrinsic change. That would all fall under immutability.
So what does lying have to do with mutability or immutability? You haven't
I mean, I
actually
was
explained
giving
that.
you an example, right? We can move on to a different one. Like if you don't
Well, you said,
like
well, that's what you brought up,
immutability.
lying. You said, if I don't believe God can lie, and I hold to divine simplicity, oh, sorry, not divine immutability, what's going to be the symmetry breaker between the two? But then I'm like, well, what is the correlation between the divine immutability and lying? Like to even have a symmetry breaker.
No, I was asking for the symmetry breaker between the possibility of the two. So when you take impossible, when you take possible. So I mean, I can just shift it to like
I don't know what you're saying.
impassibility or passibility. So if you believe God can be passible qua his human nature,
Okay.
and then be impassible qua his divine nature, that's not a metaphysical impossibility or contradiction according to you, right?
It's not. It's if that's not a metaphysical impossibility. No, it's not a metaphysically impossible because this passibility, I suppose, if I understand you correctly, is only going to be for the humanity because the humanity has the capacity to be passible.
Yeah, yeah. So
So if you're
when you
asking me for the symmetry,
qualify,
so if you're asking what the symmetry breaker is going to be one nature having the capacity and the other nature not having that capacity.
that would be the symmetry breaker for why it's not metaphysically impossible. I can agree with you on that.
So
But
you're
when
asking
it
me.
comes to lying, right? You don't believe that Jesus can take on a nature that allows him to lie, right?
Well, I don't believe that Jesus is going to lie due to him being a divine hypostasis. The basis of his existence, the basis of his existence being his divinity. And since he is the good and is the truth, this is a metaphysical obligation that he cannot lie.
Because he's all good, you said?
Yeah, this is going to be a character thing.
So you're saying that the nature or the person Jesus could never take or assume some nature that allows him to contradict some essential property, right?
Well, I don't know what you mean. So negate a so okay, I feel like you're trying to somehow some way like mix and I think you're kind of being slimy about it. But if you're asking me, like, I don't know if you're just trying to like bring an argument, but I'm not really understanding what you're actually asking. If you're asking, does the hypostasis or can the hypostasis assume a human nature and that human nature have predicates about itself? Yes. Is that what you're asking me?
No, I was asking if, well, I was just still manning your answer. I was saying that you're implicating that Jesus can't assume another nature because it would, the
I
nature
didn't say
of being
Jesus
able
can't
to lie.
assume another nature. What?
No, you said Jesus can't assume another nature that allows him to lie because it contradicts him being all good, right?
Jesus can't assume. Wait, no. Wait. Do you think I'm saying that? Do you think lying is proper to human nature?
No, I'm not even like invoking a human nature. I'm just saying any nature. It can be any metaphysically possible nature that God can assume or Jesus can assume.
Are you asking me can God take on a human nature? Can God take on a nature that is not his own or that is seemingly prima facie contradictory of his own? As for example, if God's nature is immaterial, can he take on a material nature? Is that essentially what you're asking?
Yeah, for example, yeah.
Yeah, God can take on a material nature, though his
Okay,
divine nature is immaterial.
and that's metaphysically possible. Okay, can God take on a nature that allows him to lie or be imperfect?
A nature that allows. I don't really understand what you mean by that.
Just having the capability or capacity to lie
Well,
or do any sin.
well, I think that's kind of a category error, right? Like the human nature, though, has the capacity to fall, right? It's about who the human nature is united to that won't allow it to go to there. So if lying, right, is an imperfection or a privation of the good, it can't be done or happen because of whom the nature is united to.
Okay, so it traces back to the essential property
It traces
of
back
the
to the
divine.
it traces back to the person and whom the person is united to, the purification of whom of what happens to the human nature when the nature is assumed to the person.
Okay, so the person is all good, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Is that essential to the person?
It's essential to it's predicated to the person because it's essential to the divine nature.
Yeah, okay, so you account for that due to the divine nature, right?
Yeah, because the divine nature is going to be the principle of all operation.
We can apply that same logic to him being material and immaterial.
Sure, the person can be material via whatever the principle of that operation is. So if he's material because he took on human nature, then the person is material because he took on human nature, not because he has a divine nature.
No, but I'm saying, given what you just said, this would be a metaphysical impossibility because
How?
the person Jesus is essentially immaterial given the divine nature.
Okay,
Yeah, so you wouldn't be able to assume a material nature the same way he can't assume a
that doesn't follow.
nature that.
That doesn't follow because it doesn't stop being immaterial. The manner in which he's immaterial doesn't undergo any type of change. The way he's
Okay, well,
immaterial
I
is
mean,
his
I agree
divine
with that.
nature. So then there's no
Okay, well,
issue.
then I agree with that. So you're
Then
saying
there's no
that
issue. Then
it's
I don't.
possible. No, then you're saying it's possible for Jesus to lie as long as he's all good qua the
No,
divine nature.
no, because when Jesus assumes the human nature to himself, the human nature is not having any imperfections or privations. Lying, you assume, is something that's essential to humanity, which is silly.
No,
Lying is not.
because lying,
Is
whether
lying
it's an
essential to
imperfection,
is lying essential to humanity?
I can grant you, I mean, whatever you take it to be, whether you take it to be essential or non-essential, doesn't really,
Is it essential to humanity? Do humans have to lie?
they don't have to lie, they
Okay,
have
cool.
to have the capability to lie.
So no, that's not even true. Humans don't have to have the capability to lie. What
I mean,
humans
you're
have to
asking me
have,
for my
and I'm saying
worldview.
that's wrong. I'm saying you're wrong. If you do, especially if you're asking me, am
That's
I confused?
literally just my own theology.
Okay,
That's
cool.
why I asked you, I can
Okay,
grant you
that's no
whatever.
problem. No problem. I'm saying your theology is
Alright.
trash. That's incorrect. So look, the what humans have to have
I don't think
is
you can justify.
the freedom of will, right? We do understand that Christ has a free will, but just because he has free will doesn't mean he's now obligated to lie. But because
I'm not
but
saying
because
that.
okay, cool. So then there's no manner in which you're saying that Christ it's impossible for Christ to take on human nature because if he takes on human nature, he has to lie.
No, I'm saying that it's possible for him to lie, not that he
I
has
don't
to
think that's
lie.
true.
Okay, let me demonstrate to you first. Well, let me just stillman what you're saying so I know that I'm tracking, and then you agree that we're both tracking. You're saying that it would be impossible for Jesus to lie or assume some nature that allows him to lie because having that capability of lying is imperfection, right?
No. I don't believe that when Christ assumes a human nature, or that it's impossible for Christ to assume a human nature because other instantiations of that universal have the capacity to lie. Because when the human nature is assumed to the logos, it is permeated by the divinity. The will is permeated by the divinity, and therefore, when Christ's free will, which is essential to humanity, is assumed to the human nature, the freedom that he has is the freedom between goods, not that he's choosing evil. Because Christ does not have a gnomic will, nor does he have a fallen nature. It's the perfect nature.
It's a perfect nature, hence why um, he can't assume a nature which is imperfect, is what you're saying, right?
He doesn't assume a nature that's imperfect.
Okay, why can't this be the case as long as we qualify the cooperator? So just to say that qua this nature.
because of who the person that is assuming it to. What happens to the nature when it assumes to the logos? When the logos assumes the human nature is purified and permeated by the natures of the logos. Therefore, the human nature is unfallen and is perfect.
What do you mean by logos? I'm not
The
too familiar
person,
with that
the
term.
person, the person of the Son, the divine
So you
hypostasis.
okay, so you're saying that um the person can't assume an imperfect nature because um
It's like how
it's
darkness. That's like how darkness can't be in light, right? Like it's impossible for darkness to be in light, right? Imperfection dissipates when united to perfection.
imperfection dissipates. Well, not necessarily
Yes,
because
necessarily. What? If you're asking me in our paradigm, you're
not
asking
in
of
your
our theology.
worldview.
Oh yeah, can you cite his church father that
Because
states the otherwise?
well, I'm literally disagreeing with that. Whether the church fathers said, I would
But
be
then you
disagreeing with
then
that.
you just be strawmanning our position. If you're saying that not in my worldview, that means that you're
I
saying that
didn't
we
say
don't hold to
not in
this.
your worldview.
That's
I
literally
said,
what you said verbatim. What you just said. But all
I
right,
mean, maybe
continue.
if I did say that, I did misspeak. I was trying to say that whether that is the case or not doesn't really solve anything because you can apply the same logic with like omnipotence, which is just be to be all powerful. I mean, once Jesus lost that capability,
He didn't lose the
while
capability.
the capability to be all powerful isn't in virtue of the human nature, right?
That
It's
doesn't
not
mean it's a loss.
something.
You said in order for it to be a loss, you would have to say that the human nature somehow, some way had it and then stop having it. Nobody says that.
No,
No,
no. Well, all I meant by that is just he didn't have the capability to
that's incorrect.
actualize all metaphysically possible
That's
worlds.
incorrect. Who said you? Who told you
So
that?
he had the capability to
He does.
actualize.
Do you think that we believe that he stopped being a divine person with a divine nature?
That's not what I was going to ask you.
So
You
then,
interrupted.
if you don't believe that we believe that he lost the divine nature
No,
when
you're
he
strawmanning
incarnated,
what I was.
I'm saying if you don't believe that he lost that he stopped having the divine nature when he incarnated, then how are you saying that he stopped having the capability to
I
be all
didn't
powerful?
say lost. I didn't say he lost the divine
You
nature.
literally no, you said he lost the capability to be all powerful. That's what you
No,
said.
I said he didn't have the capability to be all powerful, and then you interrupted me. I was gonna say qua the human nature. Obviously, if Jesus now is able to actualize or instantiate that capability, he would no longer be a human by definition.
That's not
So it's
true. What are you
impossible.
talking about? So you're
So
telling
you
me. So
think
wait.
that
So
God can?
you think that if he assumes this is essentially what you're saying. When he assumes human nature, and he already in his human nature he walks, which is something that's proper to the human nature, then he can't know the hearts of all men because he can walk now. What? That doesn't make any sense. He knows the
That's
hearts
not
of
what I
all
was
men.
saying. I
That's
was
no. I
saying
say
that.
that's essentially what you are saying. If he knows the hearts of
No,
all
no,
men,
no.
it is. I'll explain to you why. What you just said was that he loses or he does not have the capacity to be all powerful qua the humanity because he takes on humanity. What? That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't follow. He can still have his divine properties and divine prerogatives though he takes on humanity. What's the argument that he can't?
I'm not saying I didn't say that he loses the property. I'm saying that the capacity or anything instantiated from this capacity entails he would no longer be human given that. So I'm not saying that he doesn't possess the capability to
How does
actualize
that? Can you
all
explain how that
metaphysically or
follows?
logically possible
How
things.
does it stop him from no longer being human because he knows the hearts of all men?
Yeah, so if, for example, he actualized, let's say, anything metaphysically possible that's nomically impossible, qua the human nature, not the divine nature, qua the human nature, he wouldn't be human. He would be all powerful. He'd be
You're
omnipotent.
making the claim again. Listen, to what I'm asking you before I move on, because now you've just been a bot. Okay.
I mean,
Now,
you literally
no,
told me to
I'm gonna
ask it.
ask it again. I'm gonna ask the question again, one more time. How does him doing something qua the human nature, or doing something qua the divine nature, disqualify one or the other natures? Because that's essentially what you're saying.
I didn't say that. I literally
That is
clarified that
essentially
20
what you're
times.
saying.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. You cut me off mid-question,
I
mid
let you
statement,
talk. What are
hence
you
why you didn't
talking
even let me
about?
qualify.
I let you talk
I
after you
said,
said
oh
that.
my
What?
God.
You literally repeated
Maybe
the
it's
same thing.
just
You
like a
followed all the way
comprehension
through.
issue, but I
Okay,
was saying
if
that.
it's a comprehension issue, just kick rocks then.
Then what?
Just kick rocks then. If it's a comprehension issue, you're not gonna come and insult me on my own live, dumbass. Okay, who's next? Like what? Goofball. He's literally saying it's impossible for Christ to have actually taken on human nature, because to take on human nature allows him to have a capacity that contradicts the previous capacity that he had. Therefore, he's not actually human for real, because if he can still do the things that he can do in his previous capacity, then he's not actually human anymore. That's literally what he's saying. And he's being a goofball and saying he's not saying that. Like, what are we talking about? It's supposed to on purpose. All right, what?
Yeah, bruh. Basically, the argument that he was trying to make is by saying that everything that's essential to the divine essence is given to the person. It's the same thing that is going to be he can apply that same logic to the human nature. But the argument falls because he's presupposing that the same thing as being materially identical to the divine essence is also being materially identical to the human nature. Therefore, everything that is said about that person is ultimately going to be said about the human nature as well. That's ultimately what he's reducing the position
Which
to.
also doesn't follow. What?
It's stupid as hell, by the way. I don't know where these people are getting that lying is essential to the essence. Never heard a day that. The only thing I know is rationality, animality. Tell me something else says that is essential, man.
Okay.
But yeah, keep cooking up, man.
For sure, bro. So anyway, before we move on to the next guest, yeah, so Kent went live to see if the chats work. I see the the chat's working on YouTube, YT, sorry, but the TikTok isn't. I don't know why. It's just weird. I don't like that. But I really want to get it going, because the heck. Okay, the website failed. Whatever that means. Let's see. Click the capture engage. See if that'll work. Okay. Oh, there it is. All right. I guess it works now. There you go. All right, bet. Who's next?
Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
What's up, man?
Yeah, you weren't tracking his argument like at
okay.
all, and I can just run it for him. When he was talking about lying, he wasn't, or my fault, the example of the human nature, he wasn't saying the person can't be this. He's talking, if you're a human person, you don't have a divine nature, is it possible for you to be all powerful?
If you're a human person, then no, it's not possible to be all
Yeah, if a
powerful.
subject only has a human nature, it cannot be all powerful, correct?
Yeah, if you're a human person, correct.
Okay, that's all he was saying. You weren't tracking that. That's fine, right? So let me ask you the question, right? Is it metaphysically possible for Jesus to lie?
No.
Okay, can he take on a nature which allows him to lie?
He can take on a nature. Doesn't mean that that nature has to allow him to lie. For instance, the human nature, for example, the human nature does not have to allow him to lie. That's the part that you guys.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the human nature. Let me just clarify.
That's
right?
the only thing that's in question is the human nature.
No.
What?
Again, that's not my question. Let me just clarify. Can he take on a different nature which allows him to lie?
He can't speak. No. He can't. He can't take on a nature that makes him lie or obligates him to lie.
Okay. And what's the issue with him taking on a nature which makes him lie?
Because he is the truth itself. He can't
because
lie.
of his divinity, but So he can't take on a nature which contradicts his essential properties via divinity?
Yeah, well, it would more so be him contradicting his personhood, because who he is as a person, due to his human nature, it would quite literally make him not the truth. But how does this now mean he can't take on human nature, though? Because are you saying that?
No, because we're talking about
let me ask the
divinity.
question. Wait, let me ask the question. Are you saying that human nature has to lie?
No, forget. I'm not even talking about the human
That's
nature
the
right
question that I'm asking you.
No.
Okay, so then if human nature does not have to lie, what's the issue with him taking on human nature?
Yeah, we'll get there. I'm gonna build the argument, right? I'll tell you, because the issue you told me with him taking on a different, not the human nature, just clarify, taking on a different nature that allows him to lie is because it contradicts who he is qua divinity, right? He's the truth because he has a divine nature, correct?
Sure. All right.
Okay. And are humans essentially like gonna have properties that are contradictory to the divine nature, such
Like
as
what?
humans? Yeah, I'll tell you, humans are going to be material, they're going to be limited, they're going to be weak. Well, via divine nature, you're going to be all powerful, you're going to be immaterial, you're going to be not weak, all knowledgeable.
Yeah, so this is not going to be an actual contradiction. Here's why. Because
No, I'm
if
not saying it is.
yeah,
I'm just asking you, can he take it on?
yeah, he can still take those on.
Okay, so he can take on I'm not saying, again,
He
clarifying,
can
I'm
take it
not saying it's a
on.
contradiction.
Yes, he can take
Okay,
it on.
beautiful.
Yes.
So, okay, beautiful. So let me just steel man, then you can respond, right? So he can take on the human nature, even though it has contradicting properties, because it's not a contradiction when he has two natures. What's the asymmetry between him
Yeah.
taking on another nature, which has contradictory properties, but not being a contradiction because you make a quad distinction, and him taking on another nature, which is going to be allowing him to lie, but
Yeah.
him lying is going to be quad this nature.
Yeah. A moral imperfection. That's the symmetry breaker. Being weak, hungering, these are blameless passions. This is not a moral imperfection. You considering lying is going to be not proper, because lying would be improper for God to have, since it's a moral imperfection. That's the symmetry breaker. So
Yeah, it's not a symmetry. You're
It
saying
is a symmetry breaker.
Yeah,
What?
can I
Hold on, no,
respond?
wait. Is it immoral? Is it immoral to be material?
Is it immoral to be material? No.
Okay. Is it immoral? Is it immoral to walk?
Yeah, morality doesn't present
Is
asymmetry
it
there.
immoral to
No,
walk?
no,
Cool.
it doesn't. It
got
doesn't matter
you.
if it's immoral
Got
or
you.
not. Can I
Is
respond?
it immoral to eat?
No. Can I respond now?
Okay, cool. So since these things are not immoral, then there's nothing and no reason why God cannot assume a nature that allows
Okay,
them
so
to do these
can I
things.
respond to that?
However, lying is an actual moral imperfection. So if he assumes something that makes him lie, that's impossible, since he can't lie. It's just a wrong
Okay,
category of speaking that you're talking about.
Can I respond now? I
Yeah,
would love
bro.
if I can respond. Okay, no problem. I'm not saying that him lying, being limited, etc., because of the human nature is because he's being immoral, or it has anything to being immoral. The reason he can't be immoral is because of his essential properties qua divinity. But that distinction you make is going to apply to the human nature. He's going to be qua divinity, unlimited and all powerful, right? But qua humanity, he's not. If there's no asymmetry, because the reason you said he can't be immoral is appealing back to the divinity.
The reason why, okay, you asked me was, can he take on a human nature, or can he take on a nature that contradicts his essential properties via the divine nature? And you're asserting that he can't take on human nature because in human nature, he has the, or would have the capacity to lie. Is that what you're saying?
No. Can I clarify? I'm not.
Yo, is that not what he just said?
No. For
Is that not what
everyone
he
in
just
chat,
said, bro?
I never said the human nature can lie. I said, can he take on a different nature,
Oh my
which
God,
allows
bro.
him to lie? And then I made the symmetry.
And the reason why
Let
he
me
can't
finish.
take
I
on a
made the
human, the reason why he can't take on a different nature that allows him to lie is because why? You said it contradicts his what? Essential
His divinity.
properties via the divinity, right?
Yep.
Okay.
That was your response.
So what's the argument when it comes to him not being human? Because that's what
Okay.
old buddy said beforehand, that he can't actually be a human being. Because what? Because if a human being has the capacity to lie, that's what he said.
No, that's not what he was saying. That's not
That's
what he was saying.
literally what he said.
Okay, so let me speak. The symmetry I'm drawing, so everyone can listen. The host said the reason he cannot take on this different nature, not the human nature, a different nature which allows him to lie, is because it contradicts his divine properties. But y'all still hold to the position
No,
he can take on a human.
no, I said it. I said the reason why he can't take on a human nature that allows him to lie is because it's a moral imperfection.
Because
That's
of his
why.
divine nature.
And I said because of who the person is via the divine nature.
Yes.
But I
Okay.
highlighted the moral imperfection part.
Okay,
That's the part.
I'll
That's
steal
the
man.
issue.
I'll repeat. Okay, I'll repeat it, and you can tell me if I'm misrepresenting you. He cannot take on a third nature because taking on a third nature is a moral
nature.
imperfection. Yeah, is it a third nature that allows him to lie? He cannot take on a third nature that allows him to lie because it's a moral imperfection, and Jesus cannot have a moral imperfection because he's all morally perfect via his divinity. Is that correct?
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm not strawmanning you. The symmetry I'm drawing between this example and the human nature is that the reason he cannot take on this third nature that allows him to lie is because of the divine nature, which has moral perfection, and this nature would not have moral perfection.
The
There's a
person would have
contradiction.
the person would have more perfection.
Yeah, because of the divine nature.
Okay, so what's the
Okay,
issue?
so in the case of him taking on a human nature, the person of Christ would be unlimited and all powerful via the divine nature, but
Okay.
you still think he can take on a human nature which
Yeah.
contradicts these properties. What's the asymmetry?
Well, if you're saying it, I don't think that it's contradicting those properties. That's the whole thing that I'm talking about.
Okay, okay, let's establish that.
Hold on, relax, just relax. Even in us, right, there are things that pertain to our human nature that are asymmetrical, being immaterial, right, via our soul, or being material via our body. This does not stop our human hypostasis from having these things pertain to us. We can be immaterial qua our soul, material qua our
These
body.
are parts.
This is not. It doesn't matter. So what? We understand that.
Okay, so
we understand
let's
that after.
clarify.
Stop talking.
Okay, I'll stop. Go ahead.
Shut your mouth. Thank you. We understand that after the incarnation, we can see that Christ has a composite hypostasis. This is what John of Damascus says. It's not an issue. So again, what is the actual argument? Because what he said was Christ then can't actually be human. How did you get that? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Okay, so let me just clarify. You said that the point you disagree with is that they're not contradicting, correct?
As far as like that being a negation for the possibility.
Yeah. So are humans like the human nature, not the person of Christ? Is the human nature essentially limited?
It's in like finite, sure.
Okay, and is the divine nature essentially unlimited?
Is in like infinite, sure. Because what do you mean by limited?
Limited in its power.
Is the human nature essentially limited in its power? I'll just say that it's finite because, for example, Adam, right, pre-fall, he was finite as a creature, but all things he did was in God, so he could do all he could insofar as his.
That's fine. That's fine. So he can
I would
only
say
do a
it's finite.
finite, limited things, correct?
I would just
nature.
say finite. I wouldn't say limited. I would say finite.
Okay, we can use the word finite, no problem. So
Sure.
the human nature is inherently finite or essentially finite, and the divine nature is essentially infinite. Are those two negations of each other?
Is finite a negation of infinite?
Yeah, are those two opposite?
Sure, we could say the opposite.
Okay, so everyone heard it.
Hold on. Let me strengthen my mind. I take that back. Finite is not the actual negation of infinite, because finite, you can have a finite capacity, right? But your finite capacity could be astronomical. The opposite of infinite is actually the polar opposite, no type of capacity at all. So I take that back.
No, you can. Okay, so let's clarify. When we say infinite, it just means that it has no limit there, right? It's going to have no limit. And when we say finite here, it's going to have a countable number, right? Of things.
But that's not opposite, right? No limit. The opposite of no limit is constrained to like a singularity, like an actual confinement. But you can be finite, but like I said, have an astronomical thing. For example, right, 85 quadrillion, right, is a finite number. But is that the opposite of infinite? Like, no, that doesn't.
Okay, when I clarify, let me just clarify what I mean, right? Let's make this very easy. Is the human nature essentially not all powerful? Or can it have all power? Within, not divinity or not the person, just a nature. Can the nature be all powerful? Or are humans essentially not all powerful?
Yeah, humans are not all powerful because they are finite.
Okay.
So yes, that's it. That's
Okay,
something
that's
that
all I
pertains
meant.
to
That's
this.
all. That's all
Okay.
I meant. Okay.
Mhm.
So as we heard it here, humans are essentially not all powerful. God, via the divine nature, is all powerful. Those are
Mhm.
two negations of each other. So I'm asking very simply the asymmetry between you allowing, or at least believing, that Christ can take on a human nature, even though this example can have contradicting properties, but it's not a contradiction in the person. And for some reason, Jesus not being able to take on a third nature, which has contradicting properties, but it somehow is a contradiction in the person. How can we resolve the contradiction
Yeah.
via qua distinctions?
Yeah,
What's
got
the
you.
asymmetry?
Yeah, got you. So first off, the opposite of all powerful is no power. So again, not being all powerful is not the opposite of all powerful. You can have some power, or you can have a astronomical amount of power and not be all powerful. The opposite of all powerful is no power. So when Christ assumes a human nature that is limited in power, does not mean he's taking on something that is the complete opposite of his divine
Forget
nature.
opposite.
That's what you
Is
said. The negation.
so wait one second. Wait one second. Can,
What?
can a single nature be all powerful and not all powerful?
A single nature?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay, because being all powerful means you're not all powerful, right? Correct? Those are contradicting. It doesn't have to be a complete opposite. Forget the opposite thing. They're contradicting, right?
Yeah, you
One
are shifting the
nature cannot.
goalposts.
Yeah, one nature cannot be both. Correct?
Well, ask the Miaphysite, you can. So it depends on
Do
the
you believe? Do you
it
accept
depends on-
their
it depends on-
position?
I don't
Yeah, but
accept their, yeah, and just because I don't accept their position doesn't mean that
Do you
you're
think
talking
it's
about-
possible?
Don't cut me off. I don't
Bro,
accept their
you're
position.
waffling for 5 minutes. That's
Alright.
bad.
I don't accept their position. However, you're asking me about metaphysical possibilities. So asking a Miaphysite, right? A composite nature can be all powerful and unpowerful at the same time.
I'm doing an
So-
internal critique
so-
to you, not
yeah,
a
but
metaphysical.
but you asked me about a metaphysical possibility, regardless.
Okay, so do you believe?
So therefore, even if I don't accept their Miaphysite position, you're asking about possibilities of what ifs.
Okay, so it's possible for one nature to be all powerful and not all powerful.
According to the Miaphysites, even though I don't
No,
agree with
according to you. Look how he's dodging. He
Well,
can't answer the question.
I'm literally answering the question. You asked
According
me
to
about
you.
metaphysical possibilities.
Yeah,
Are you
according
not?
to-
Are you asking me about metaphysical possibilities? Yes or no?
Yeah, according to you.
Okay, so if you're asking me about metaphysical possibilities, then according to the Miaphysites, they can. But I don't hold to that notion. So what's the issue?
Okay. It's an internal critique to you and not a Miaphysite. So last time I'm going to ask you, do you believe it's metaphysically possible? Yes or no?
I just answered you already.
You
I
said,
can answer.
look at the Miaphysites. You didn't answer.
I literally answered you.
Okay, answer one more time.
I'm not doing it all the time. Asking.
So you're running away.
If you say so.
Guys,
I
he's
answered the question
unable
already.
to give the asymmetry. He
How am I
can't
not
even
able to
talk
give
about
it-
his own positions. It's just
How am I not able to give the asymmetry when I literally gave the asymmetry? So again,
The a-
if you can actually run the argument after I gave you the answer, you said that Christ cannot be actually human because the things that pertain to humanity are in negation of the things that pertain to divinity. That's what you're essentially saying, correct or incorrect?
No, I'm saying that there is no again. I haven't even made the. All I've asked.
So
the
you
question.
haven't made an actual argument yet.
No,
Got you.
I've asked
So
it.
do
Let
you
me-
think
let me-
do you think contradictory and contrary are the same thing?
I never said they are.
I'm asking you, do
No,
you think?
they don't- they don't have to
cool.
be.
Got you, cool. So then there's no actual issue with Christ assuming a human nature that may be contrary to the things that are pertaining to his divine
That's the
nature.
very thing in question
Okay,
right now.
so then prove it then. That's
Okay,
what I'm
so
asking you to do.
let's go
so
over it. That's what I've been trying to do.
So just run the argument. Give me the syllogism.
Okay, brother, I'm not
Don't
giving you a
ask me the
formal
question.
argument.
Okay, well,
I
if you
haven't
can't,
given-
okay. This is
Are you
what
gonna
I'm
run
tell-
away?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm running away. This is what you need to do. If you're not scared, right? If you're not afraid,
I don't
if you're
need to
not
give it
coward-
formalized.
Hey, if you unmute your mic, I'm dropping you. If you unmute your mic, you're scared, and I'm dropping you. If you want to actually squab, run the argument, give it formalized, or at least give the syllogism, or at least give it informal, right? Run it all the way through. Don't ask me any questions, and then let me engage with it. Cool? Go ahead.
Okay,
do it.
I'll give the argument informally. Okay, no problem, and then you can engage.
Just
with
do it. Just do it. Hurry
Okay,
up.
no problem.
Go ahead.
You believe, at least your commitment is, that it's going to say, I'm not going to give a syllogism, it's fine. You said that Christ cannot take on a third nature which allows him to lie because it would contradict the properties via divinity.
That's the
I
argument?
asked you. No, it's not a
What's
formal
the
argument.
argument? Can you just
let me lay out the commitments and then give the argument.
No, give the argument now.
Okay, let me speak.
No,
Okay, let me speak. Let me
no.
speak.
Give the argument now.
Okay, I'll give the argument.
Right, hurry up. Go ahead.
Okay, if Christ, okay, premise one, if Christ cannot take on a third nature because it contradicts the properties of the divine nature, then he cannot also take on a human nature. Christ cannot take on a third nature which contradicts the divine properties. Therefore, Christ cannot take on a human nature.
Okay, I disagree
Modus
with pre.
ponens. There you go,
I
man.
disagree with pre-1. Simple as that.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you believe which part of
Yeah,
P1?
yeah, yeah. When you said that because Christ can't take on a human, a third nature that contradicts his essential properties, he can't take on human nature that contradicts his essential properties of his divinity. Again, you're saying that the human nature contradicts the divine nature. Contradiction and contrary are not the same thing. This is an invalid argument.
I didn't.
You did.
Okay.
You what? You didn't say contradict. Say
No,
you
no,
didn't
no,
say contradict.
I did.
All
I
right,
didn't say
then.
contrary. I didn't say contrary.
I know, fool.
So,
I'm saying contrary.
okay, no problem.
What are you
No
talking
problem. Stop
about?
crashing out. Okay, so
Bro, wait up. I'm tired of these fool bots. It's just stupid. Stupid, bro. Dumb.
So exactly the argument we were saying, bro.
Stupid. He's dumb. This is
Yo,
what
he could. The concession was the second that he said contradictory
Exactly.
and contrary.
Exactly.
That's a concession.
This is why we make them run their actual argument instead of asking a bunch of questions and gitch galloping like they like to do, like these lizard piss face dogs like to do. Have them just run the actual argument. Let them say it full and through, and then we see where they actually made the blunders. Exactly.
No, but W catch on the human nature not being contradictory to the divine nature, but it
Exactly.
being contrary is such a W. Hey,
Yeah.
man, continue
Yeah.
going.
Exactly, bro. Like that's what I was like, bro. What is he even talking about? And then okay, heard it. yeah, good job. But anyway, guys, now that we I guess this is a pre-show squab. So stupid. Now again, right? I had to listen to what he's saying at first, because he was saying a bunch of gay scholar, and I'm like, laid out the argument, caught it. Oh, okay, that's a flaw. Got you. Hey, if this is the new Dower script, y'all are trying it now, at least. At least y'all are trying now. You know what I'm saying? If this is the new Dower script, y'all got to do better though. I appreciate it, but no, for real, I appreciate y'all for trying. You know, y'all are funny. Okay, guys. So look, y'all. What was I gonna say? So if you can see on YT and on TikTok, we got a new little chat system going. See right here. You know what I'm saying? Slow but sure upgrades. You know what I mean? Now we got our new rental space. So got our new rental space. You know what I mean? We set it up all the way. You know what I'm saying? See how we can do. What I want to do now, is figure out how we can fix these emojis, because dude, I don't like all that. What I don't like is the whole text code. Yeah, it's the same way on yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. That's weird. That is strange. Yeah, emojis cooked. I don't know why it's doing that. Does anybody know how that works? How that works? Those that use Stream Ninja? We switched over to Stream Ninja a little bit instead of Caster Labs. Caster Labs was tripping.
Usually when you're streaming anything, or if you have a certain emoji or whatever, it's the decoding that's the problem. So
Wait, you said
we
what?
might wanna, it's the decoding that's usually the issue.
The
So you might
decoder?
want to look decoding, whatever is decoding
Oh,
the
the
text.
decoding. Oh,
So you might want to look for something like UTF-8, which is probably more accurate, which will show the emojis. So
I don't even know
whatever
where
is parsing the text, you want to look for that's reading the chat. whatever you're using to decode it.
I don't even know where I would find that, bro. It's crazy.
I've never used the software before, so I'm not really
No,
sure
it's my
how
first.
to work
This is
it.
why this is a test live because I haven't used this.
It looks good though. I'm not gonna lie. It's just that the emojis are not showing.
Oh wait, Jared's emojis popped up.
See, so let me test one. I'm gonna put a different version of the laughing emoji in the chat, and you tell me how it looks. Let's see. Let me use the one that TikTok has. Okay, how does that look?
Okay, I see K's, I see Funis, I see. Okay.
See, the one I just put is different.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's two versions.
Yeah. What the heck?
Um,
Hey, going
you
on,
should
man?
you should see a settings for the chat somewhere though. That's reading the
But
emojis or the text or the chat.
this thing
Like
is
you
so
can probably put.
complicated now. Like this is
Yeah,
way
it
more
is.
complicated than It's way more complicated than Caster Labs because it gives like a bunch of like a whole bunch of options, and I don't know where. So we
You say
got
it's
like
called Stream Show.
stream social stream ninja.
So
I love y'all how y'all having a grand old time in the comment section trying to see the codes. Y'all are some kids.
yeah, they are.
Y'all are some children. So we got the option. So we got the streaming dock, right? Which is that, it works. That's what I put into OBS. Then we got like the feature chat overlay. We got the modern preset options, the multi-stream alert box, alert types, variant presets, layout and visibility. Sound and timing.
And I'm assuming they're using the latest version as well, right?
Yeah.
Are you using an OBS overlay on it?
I'll read that later, K. Yeah, I'm using OBS. Yeah.
See if you can probably see what OBS overlay is reading it with. Like I was saying earlier, if you want to look if they're using UTF-8 or any other format, Unicode. They have a lot of different names that they use.
Shout out to Tizza with the $2 super chat. God bless, fam. And see, that was supposed to alert. I don't know why I didn't alert, man. What talking about, bro? What's happening? Bro, this crazy. Where's Elijah when you need him? I know where he at. I ain't exposed where he at, but he busy. He experienced.
Yeah, you should see anywhere you see like Unicode or UTF-8 or whatever. You can just experiment with which one of them is parsing the text, and it will come out good.
Maybe I can
Either
put
in
it
the
on,
OBS or the thing that you're using for the stream for the chat.
Maybe I can put it on the screen.
I never used this software before.
Let me see. You see that?
Oh yes. Oh, it's small too. That's a lot of options, isn't it?
That's what I'm saying, bro. Like, sheesh.
Oh shoots. Oh, so you have your TikTok link there that you use to stream off your TikTok account.
Yeah. Let's see.
It's kind of hard to read, but you should see something about the chat.
Yeah, let me see. Okay, so look. So we got. Let's go all the way up, right? This is copied into the OBS, right? So they can all be seen. Then you got like this is like the overlay. So this is like the why it looks how it looks. And then I don't know, identify who's host, mod, bot, PP. That's a whole other different thing. Then you got the feature chat overlay. So like when they did the super chat, that was supposed to like do something, I guess.
Yeah.
Then there's the style options.
Look in the style option if there's something to decode it.
Nah, I don't
Like I
even.
was saying,
This is all it is.
Unicode. Oh, that's all. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's it. So you got the multi-stream alert box.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's then there's the alert type. So it gives all these. Then there's the variant presets, the layout and visibility, sound and timing, prepare and test, which is that over there.
The layer down visibility. See if there's any option in it.
So over here it says compact alert cards, center align, alert box, right align alert box. Hide avatars, hide gifts, hide source badges, hide subtitle row, hide amount, body pills, solid page background.
Man, there's a lot of options.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Like I don't know. And it has the optional chat services, so there's all this other stuff.
Do they have like a search option, like a search in the settings where you could write
This search all options by keyword.
Okay, yeah. Type CODE and see if that comes up.
CODE.
If like Unicode or anything that has to do with that, like top parsing the text, or if you could search as well, Unicode, that will probably bring it up too.
Prophet said, go down to message styling. Go down to
Oh, he's familiar with it.
I don't
You
know.
can come up, Prophet, if you're familiar with the software.
Prophet, you know how to use this? You know how to do it? Prophet, you know how to do it? Or
You can
or no?
request a Prophet.
I'm not, but that's
Prophet
what I
Bar.
would guess. Oh, he said so he guessed it was that.
Oh, okay, yeah. See if you could write styling as well in the search style. Style or put STYL, safer.
Where is your light when you need them?
He's the
Event
tech guy.
dashboard. Event dashboard. Trying to display the next stream events. Emote walls. I don't even know how that even works. I'm supposed to.
I think it's probably a compatibility with the thing you're using with OBS. They're both using two different parsing. So whatever one is using, the other one has to use as well. So I guess that's the way it is.
Carnap, are you a op or are you trying to help? If you're a op, hold on. If you're trying to help, I can bring you up.
Let's see.
I feel like I think he might be a op. Yeah. Hold on. See us trying to do something. Give us a second, bro. I'll bring you up. We're trying to fix this real quick.
You wanna be bodied so quick, bro?
Yeah. Okay. I don't even see yours as measure settings, bro. User map. Nah. Map options. Nah. All right.
There's nothing with Unicode, nothing with UTF, nothing.
We're trying to figure out why the TikTok or why the emojis are showing code, Solo. Let me see. Schwa! Hate getting old. Hate getting old, man. Let me see.
What he said was the name of the application. You can come up, Solar.
Social Stream Ninja.
But he's using it with OBS.
Yeah.
So I think the two of them are parsing the chat in two different code. So I think that's the issue. But we can't even find it in the thing to change it or adjust it.
Let's see. Yeah, it says when the chat is showing something, it usually due to browser throttling, and the chat tab is inactive or minimized or incorrect CC styling. No way to fix this. Keep the chat open. Here. Huh? What are you talking about?
What did it say?
To keep the uh chat open, but
Let me see if my $20 a month on
it's already
ChatGPT or
open.
something. So we're using a software called Social Stream Ninja with OBS, and the
YouTube.
emojis are not showing correctly. Some of the emojis. How do you fix it?
Extension Captain Route 6. And then I can do to further go to thing files. Fresh to pop up chat.
Double check that you're capturing the chat with UTF-8 encoding in both tools. Second, try updating the fonts you use in OBS overlays. Some fonts don't support all emojis. Once you ensure encoding and font support, those emojis should appear as intended.
I think they're saying to update OBS overlays, and they're saying the same thing I was saying earlier with the UTF-8 encoding. So just make sure both of them are using UTF-8 encoding.
Let me know how you check that.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering if the search would help if you could just write encoding, decoding, UTF-8, or stuff like keywords like that, or
I don't even know.
in the search. But there's so much action on that thing; it's so confusing.
Jalen, yeah, I heard about that. Technical workarounds, disable browsing throttling. If you must use the extension, try disabling the throttle. Am I going to flags throttle? What? What that even mean, bro?
What does it say?
Boy, what is going on?
I have OBS on my system, but I don't have the thing you use for the chat. Can you see something real quick? I'm gonna open OBS.
Boy, I look old in the mud, don't I? That's crazy, because I'm good with technology. I just know what the frick going on here. I don't know what's happening.
Yep, compatibility.
Man, it's crazy.
One of the biggest problems when you use more than one software.
Bro.
And my OBS need to update. Is yours updated as well?
Yeah. It's up there. It's fine. It's just this. Hold on. Let me see.
Stream.
Chat.
Use stream key.
I have custom CCS. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
So on what am I gonna say?
In
On
OBS browser.
OBS. On
Yes.
OBS, I have the custom CCS body, but it just says body, background color, da da da. It doesn't say anything else. It doesn't.
Is there
Body,
any,
open bracket, background dash color colon RGBA 0000 margin 0 pix auto overflow. You know what I mean? Now I'm trying looking for settings like render images in chat, allow HTML.
because right here it says, open your OBS browser source, force a better fallback font stack in custom CCS. Use something like, and in the CCS, you can use that. They gave us a code to use in the CCS, in the custom CCS. The very thing you just mentioned.
Don't even bring it up on stream ninja. So social stream ninja don't even bring it up. Status and logs.
Is that the custom CCS thing?
I don't know. Session.
Or should I say CSS? Custom CSS. Or you could even customize it to remove the weird fonts.
Man, it'd be crazy. Let me see. Emotes wall. What does that do?
I could ask. Let's see. Said wow.
Y'all see why I don't do stuff? Too much for no reason. And the tutorial videos don't help for nothing, bro.
Oh man. And then you hear the accent too, so hard to follow. You're gonna probably have to fix it before the next stream.
Yeah, we'll just figure it out later.
Yeah.
All right.
What's his name again? The guy that wanted to come up?
Yeah,
Karnap. Karnap, you can request.
yeah, if he's still in there, I'll bring him up. Well, I came to this live regardless, right? After to one do this, but also to go over hypostatic union, guys, and why folks don't even understand what the heck they're talking about. Because I was watching well, not watching. I overheard Sola and some of the little heretics talking, and they were basically trying to say that like Christ can't be immortal because he died. That's essentially what they're trying to say. And I'm like, they misunderstand, right, the whole point of the hypostatic union and what we're talking about when we talk about it, right? So maybe, maybe, just maybe, we can give them a visual understanding, right? Pull up Canva. Okay. Pull up Canva and we can do this. We can just do this for folks because folks literally are slow or maybe slow. Let's do this here. Especially until we get some ops. Chroma. Whoa. Tripping on me. Chill. Okay. So we broke down incarnation and everything to the last guy. Right. So I guess it's kind of a similar study. Similar little study thing happening. All right, guys. So look. Let's see. How can I do this? Gonna bring this all the way over so we can just like start a little fresh and we can get it all down packed. Yeah, we're doing a little bit of a late night stream. Okay. All right. So look. Hypostasis. Hers. Okay. We're just gonna get all of our elements out so that things can maybe possibly make sense for people. Cause goodness. All right. So we can all we can all look at the screen. Okay. Look, guys. Let's talk about hypostatic union. So when we actually start back our studies, so right now we're going over like the Bible and the Bible canon, this and that, the third, da 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 da. After that, we're gonna be talking about Christology, theology, and then Christology. Oh, sorry. Christology and then theology. So we're gonna get a little bit of a sneak peek, right, for our Christology. Okay, look. Hypostasis. Okay. There's things of proper are talking about when we're talking about things. Okay. It's hypostasis. Okay. This is going to be the sun. All right. Okay. Then move this over a little bit so we know we're not getting confused. So that you got that, boom. Then you got nature or thesis. Okay. Okay. So this is going to be either human or divine. Now, the sun, okay, let's do this one more time. All right. The sun is a divine hypostasis. These are things that we need to know before we start talking about these things. Not gonna lie, there's not a single video on it. Well, brother, I'm glad I can help you out with this. Oh, you're talking about on the social streaming image. Yeah, bro, we'll figure out later. Okay, so look. So the sun is a divine hypostasis, right? The sun, or we, us, human hypostasis. Cool? Following us so far? Okay, so the sun, he's a divine hypostasis. We, us, we're human hypostasis. Stasis, whatever the plural of it is. Okay? Now, before we continue, misconceptions. Misconception. The most blaring misconception is, hold on, let's bring it up. Okay. That human being must be a human hypostasis. Okay? Alright? Are we following so far? Let's move this over for the YT real quick. Okay. It's a misconception that a human being must be a human hypostasis. No. Now, it's a great question. Emmanuel said, what do you mean by hypostasis and by being? Okay, no problem. By hypostasis, we mean person. I think I said that already, but I'll help it out. Hold on just one second. So by hypostasis, we mean person. This person is the Son. But what do we mean by person? So that's what you mean. That's what you're just asking. Person, particular, indivisible, concrete reality of an essence. That's a long definition. Let me see if I can condense this. Okay. Seventh said, please explain why the incarnation didn't create a human person. No problem. I promise you I'm gonna go over that. No worries. And we're gonna use visuals. Okay. All right. Voila. So particular, indivisible, concrete reality of an essence. What that means is particular means specific. Okay? Specific. Indivisible, meaning non-communicable. Can't be communicated to someone else. Concrete, meaning it's not abstract. It's not an abstraction. It really exists. All right? Reality, same thing. It's real. So concrete, not abstract. Reality, it's real, of an essence. It's something, it pertains to a nature. Okay? That's what a person is. So when we say hypostasis, we mean person. The Son is that, a person. Okay? Now look. Nature. Nature, just because for lack of a better definition, but it'll do the purpose for this. All right. Set of essential properties. Okay. This is why sometimes people say that nature is like how you are. Okay. And then interchangeable, but we're gonna just put it just for the sake of conversation, right? Just in case it comes up. Being, right? Nature and being can mean the same thing, not always. Being is gonna be your state of existence. Okay. Now, in conversation, nature and being, like I said, can be used interchangeably depending on the context, right? And Christology, this is why we're making this distinction, because in Christology, these are technically going to be distinguished in their usage. Christ is one being because he has one state of existence, but he has two natures because he has two sets of essential properties, human and divine. So there's going to be a distinguishment being made when we're talking about Christology. Okay. Do I have ops? Hold on. Is ops? Oh no, these are not ops. Okay. Y'all give me 1 second, guys. Let me just because I'm locked in now, so now I gotta focus. Do what I'm doing. Okay. Okay, so you don't say he is the divine nature. Say he has it. Yeah. So yeah, I promise I'm gonna cover that. I'm gonna cover that. Boy, it's 8:53. All right, it's like it's gonna be kind of a longer live. All right, so recap real quick. What's a person? Particular, indivisible, concrete reality of an essence, nature, set of essential properties, being, state of existence. Right? Okay. Whew. Misconceptions. Human being must be a human hypostasis. This is not true. Okay? So look. This is what happens. Okay? The person of the Son, the divine hypostasis. Okay? Back. Oh, hold on. Actually, let me do this. Before I actually move on. Yes. Okay. Because we need to understand this part, what I'm about to explain, before we actually go into the incarnation and how it applies. So look. Try to make this simple. Okay. Look, guys. Human nature. Let me write it down. Nature. Divine nature. Okay, so there are going to be things that are, so what, okay, also what a nature is, and this is part that I actually need to explain as well. And this is all, I know it's going to kind of be complicated, but it's necessary for me to say all this, because if you don't understand, then you're not going to understand these things about the incarnation. A Thomas would say that he is identical to the essence. Yeah, we're not Thomas though. Okay, nature is going to be also going to be the principle of operation. Okay, operation actions. Okay, so follow me. Operation is going to be action. Nature is going to be the principle of the operation. Okay, so why you do it, when you do something, you do it as what you are. Okay, so how I'm talking to you, I'm talking to you like a human. So the principle of what I'm doing is going to be indicative of my nature. Okay? So, with that being said, you're going to have human operations and divine operations, since you have two natures. Well, what are human operations? Walking. Let's put these in there. Walking. Sleeping. Eating. Okay. Etc. Etc. Right? What are operations of the divinity? healing. Power. Life. So bold the font, please. Sure, no problem. No problem, bud. All right. These are just examples. Okay. Just examples. Because I'm not going to list out every single every single operation of divinity and humanity. Will be here literally forever. Literally forever. Okay. Now, the condition is also proper to nature, right? So let's do this. Let's do this. That's bothering me. The heck? There you go. Hey, dog. Why are you tripping? Okay. Whatever. Immortal. Mortal. Okay. All right. So these actions or operations are going to be proper to the nature. Now, the person of the sun is why this is important. Okay. So watch closely. The person of the sun, okay, takes on human nature, assumes it to himself. Now, nature is the principle of operation, but persons here persons do the operations. Okay. All right. See this here? So, nature is the principal operation, but persons do the operation. Okay? This is why we predicate things to the person. So the Son, okay? Let's see, let me show you. The Son is going to be doing stuff. Okay. And then when he's doing stuff, the stuff that he does is gonna be either via the human nature or via the divine nature. But this is also not a separation of things, because when he's doing stuff, right? This is called here. You're also gonna do stuff what's called the communicato idiom. Oh my god. Do it this way. Communication of idioms. So this means he's going to be doing stuff in a divine human way. It's gotta get quicker, bruh. All right. So what is a divine? What is doing something in a divine human way? Okay, I got you. No worries. Walking on water. That's a supernatural thing that he's doing in a human way. Gotcha? Gotcha? Remember, the principle of all operation is going to be the nature. So, for idiots that are saying, when Peter walked on water, guys, Peter was participating in the divine life. He was doing it by grace. This is called theosis. We'll get to that later. Christ, however, is doing it by his own nature, because his nature is divine. Okay? By default. This is why Peter sank once he took his eyes off Christ. Because Peter is a human person. Okay? Not a divine person. Peter sank when he took his eyes off Jesus. Whereas Jesus did not have that discrepancy. Okay? So, let's continue. Let's just continue. Mods, if the dogs of the chat keep barking so loud and it becomes distracting to those that are learning, you can show them the exit. So Neil, if you want to stay, chill out. Act like you had a mother that raised you, please. If you don't, then we're just gonna see you to the door. Simple as that. We're here to learn. Okay. Okay, cool. Neil didn't leave. Hey, good for learning stupidity didn't dip, you juice. All right. So anywho. Okay. So, just to recap, quick recap. Okay. We have the hypostasis. Okay. Oh, too far. Back up. There we go. We got the hypostasis. The hypostasis is the person. This is the Son. Okay? What is person? Person is going to be particular, indivisible, concrete reality of an essence. The Son has two natures. What is a nature? Set of essential properties. Okay? What's the misconception? That a human being must be a human hypostasis. Okay? The Son is a divine hypostasis. We are human hypostasis. Okay? Now, the natures are going to have things that pertain to them. Okay? Because of what a nature is also in Christology is a principle of operation. Okay? Operations are actions. So the nature is going to be the principle of the action, but the persons do actions. Okay? Doing stuff, communication of idioms, doing stuff in a divine human way. Example, walking, that's a human thing, on water, God thing, divine thing. Feel me? Okay. Why is this important? Because now when we're talking about the Son, when we predicate things to the Son doing things, it's going to be via either the divine nature or the human nature. Okay? The one person is going to do this qua one of these, or sorry, qua, yeah, the nature that is proper to it. Sorry. Okay? Now, when the Son assumes human nature, okay, nothing about his human or his divine hypostasis or his divine nature changes. He assumes it to himself. But what comes with human nature, right, is these things here. Let me show you. Body, soul, rationality, animality. Okay? These things pertain to the human nature and is what the Son is going to have or possess. What happened? Oh, there it is. No, it's not there. This way. So when he assumed the human nature to himself, he now possesses the person possesses a body, soul, rationality, animality, qua or via that which is proper to it, the human nature. Okay? So, what is death? What is death? Hmm? Separation of body and soul. Okay? That's what death is. Death is the separation of the body and the soul. Okay? This is going to be a condition. Okay? This is going to be a condition. Well, what are conditions? Conditions are going to be akin to things like, show ya, being hungry, tired, sleepy. These are conditions. All right? So being dead is a condition. Conditions have to be undergone. You have to undergo a condition. You have to get hungry. Okay? You have to get tired. You have to get sleep. You have to undergo said condition to be it. Okay? Now, if the sun, person of the sun, it's a person, right? Because persons do things, right? Doing stuff. If he dies, right? If the sun dies, what is death? The separation of the soul from the body. Well, in what capacity, what principle of operation, the heck? What principle of operation can this even happen in? The human nature. Okay? Because what is death? separation of the body and the soul. Well, what nature has a body and a soul? The human nature. So the person can undergo or do stuff like die or have his body separate from his soul, undergo that condition via the capacity in which it can even take place, the human nature. Because the human nature, he assumed to himself. So the things that are proper to the human nature pertain to him, the person, because persons do stuff. Okay? Now, why this is not a contradiction? Because when we say that he died via the human nature, via the human nature, not via the divine nature, is because the divine nature does not have said capacity. There's no body and soul that pertains to the divine nature. So death is impossible. So we can say that it is impossible for the Son to die. Therefore, he is immortal qua the divine nature. Because the person of the Son is not subject to death via the divine nature. So he is immortal. Because again, immortality is a what? Condition. Conditions are what? Undergone. Why do we get eternal life and become immortal? Because it's a condition that is undergone. Well, the Son is eternally in that condition when he's eternally begotten from the Father. Okay? And so when he assumes human nature and then has a glorified body, beep, 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 beep. Glorified body, right? Now when that body is glorified, not even that body can undergo death again, because it no longer has the capacity to undergo that condition, because it's immortal. Now, their objections are, right? Well, how are you saying that he died? Right? How did he die? Well, I'm pretty sure this is reasoned out very reasonably now that we've spent time to explain how he died. Well, to say first how he died, oh my God, come on, Canva, stop playing. Okay, how he died is what is death? Death is separation from the body and the soul. Well, in order to have a body and a soul, you got to have a nature that has a body and a soul. So it obligates that this death can only happen via the nature which capacity is able to do so. The human nature. So the Son, who assumed human nature, and when he assumed human nature, he is a human being, though he remains a divine hypostasis, because remember, it's a misconception that a human being must be a human hypostasis. Okay? The Son remains a divine hypostasis. And this divine hypostasis does stuff. Because persons do the operation. And he does things. And he does things via the natures. Because nature is the principle of operation. Is there anybody confused? Is anybody can make sense? Is anybody confused on what's being spoken of here? Something that's not making sense. Okay. 4 a.m. apologetic says divinity isn't what makes God who he is. Divinity is what makes God what he is. How can God die when the Bible says God can't die? Even though I know you're joking, so I'm gonna actually answer this question. Okay. Now, because the Son is a divine hypostasis, we're just gonna take hype. It's crazy. Just for the sake. Okay. Because the Son is a divine hypostasis, the Son is called God. Okay. Do. Okay, let me see. See. Okay, now call back to previous convo. The term God, just like the term Yahweh, can pick out person, nature, energies, a whole entity. Because the Son is a divine person or hypostasis, he is or can be called God. Okay? So when we say God died, we're talking about the person of the Son. Okay, talking about the person of the Son. And the person of the Son, who is God because he's a divine hypostasis, underwent a condition. Underwent a condition because conditions have to be undergone. What was that condition that he underwent? Death. What is death? The separation of the body and the soul. How does he undergo this condition? In the capacity in which is possible, the human nature, because the human nature does things, sleep, walk, eat, etc. I don't know why that's in there. Right? And has things that pertain to it. Sorry. I lied. The human nature doesn't do things. The human nature is the principle, of doing things like walking, sleeping, eating. Sorry about that. And has things that pertain to it, body, soul, rationality, animality. But the persons do the operation. And so the Son, which is the person who is God because he's a divine hypostasis, is gonna do stuff via the human nature and divine nature, depending on what it is. So if he's doing something, he's gonna do this thing, i.e. human nature, or die, this condition that he undergoes in the capacity that it can that can be undergone. Well, if death is a separation from the body and the soul, what capacity does it have a body and a soul? The human nature. That's it. The human nature. it is not hard, or not really. I mean, I can get why somebody might think it's difficult, but it's really not as hard as folks keep making it to be. Um, Give me a second. Somebody on YouTube, YT said, where's the link? Here, I will put the link. Give me a second. Paste. Hmm. There, I put the link. Whoever was requesting to come up, I put the link. Okay. While we're waiting, somebody else requested, I think.
Yes, sir, brother.
What up? What up?
Um, am I like interrupting something? Cause
Yeah, we're doing a
I don't
teaching.
know. Oh, okay. Do you want me to drop down, wait for you to be done, and then I can come back up after?
Well, I'm gonna be ending right after the teaching. What's going on? Are you like, are you asking questions on the teaching, or it's a different thing?
Um, yeah, cause like metaphysics isn't really my thing, so I was just wondering. Um, like I kind of understood what you were saying, but how do I say this? Um, I never really understood how a human nature and a divine nature can really coexist into one. I don't know. It's just something that's always been like problematic. Not really problematic. I just never really understood it. If you could like really
Or,
well explain that.
of course, I can do that. Okay,
Mm.
it's a great question. Blah blah blah. Let me put it on the screen again. Boom,
Like I know
boom.
that like the natures don't like quote unquote mix, but
Yeah, they
like
don't.
how can they like coexist in like one essence? I guess you could say.
Well, they coexist in one hypostasis. So look. Let me do this.
I'll try to be fast, by the way, because I don't want to like really
Yeah,
interrupt
no,
anything.
no, you're good. You're good.
All right.
Okay, let's do this. Gonna bring this over here. Okay. So new visual. All right.
By the way, are you showing something on your screen? Because for me, like my screen's just frozen.
Oh, you can't see anything?
I mean, I can see like the chat's moving and everything, but like you're just staring into the sky. Like it's just frozen.
Oh, is this? Am I frozen for y'all? Like y'all, I'm not moving at all.
I don't know. For me, it's not. Yeah, if you want, I can just like leave and then you can let me back up.
Um, I mean, yeah, sure. Try to drop down and come
All right,
back.
yeah, sure. All right.
Da, 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 da. So now we can explain the incarnation, or what, some more metaphysics of the incarnation. And this is pretty much going to answer this question, essentially. Or it should. Come on, TikTok, bro. Golly, why do y'all do that?
All right. Yeah, you're moving.
Clear
Yeah,
now?
it's good now.
Okay, cool. Bad.
Mm.
Okay, so look. See the screen? So humanity, right? Humanity is what's going to be called a universal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So think of this as like the whole, just as an abstract concept, humanity. All right.
Mm.
Now, humans are going to be what's called instantiations.
Yeah, I know what those are. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
I can't really see like the little text on those.
Yeah, I'm gonna zoom in.
Not yet. Oh, okay, okay.
Okay. So humanity is the universal, right? And humans or human beings are going to be instantiations of this universal. Okay. So we are essentially like little mini expressions of this abstract concept. All right. Now, we don't believe that the divinity is universal, nor are the persons instantiations. However, what Christ does, the Son. Okay, let me tell you what he doesn't do first, because this is where the confusion comes in.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what he doesn't do. See the screen? So,
Yes.
okay, so these instantiations, let me zoom in a little bit. These instantiations, they're going to be, show you. Human hypostasis. Okay. These instantiations, these human instantiations are going to be human hypostasis. Okay. So this is what he doesn't do. Let me show you what he doesn't do. He does not take a human hypostasis and then unite himself to it. That's what he does not do.
Oh,
He does not take a human instantiation and unite himself to it. That is Nestorianism.
okay.
Okay? It's not what he does.
So he doesn't like. Okay, hold on. I think I understand.
So he does not take an already human hypostasis and then unites himself. No. What he does is he unites humanity as a whole to himself.
Okay.
And then he the person that's already a hypostasis, he instantiates the humanity. So let me show you. If anybody said that he's not a human being, y'all are literally slow. I literally have it on the screen. and you're not getting this. Is insane. Okay, so look, this is what I'm gonna do. Let me show you. I'm gonna because I know folks ain't tracking. I'm gonna help them out. Don't worry. Okay. So
He has the humanity, but he's not only the humanity. Is that what you're saying?
So I'm gonna start over real quick just so that we can just catch up because I know folks have trouble catching up. Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
So humanity, right, which is the nature, the essence, okay, is a universal. All right, it's a universal. Instantiations are human beings. Okay, they are particularized expressions of this universal. Follow me?
Examples?
Huh?
Like examples?
Like me and you, we are instantiations of the universal called humanity.
Okay.
I'm a specific expression of humanity. You're a different specific expression of this universal thing we call humanity. Okay? We are instantiations. And because we instantiate humanity, we are human hypostasis. We have because that's the basis of our existence, the human nature. Okay? Now, what I said Christ does not do, right? He does not take a human instantiation and then unite it. No, it's not what he does. He takes humanity as the universal, as a whole, and unites it to himself. And then the person who's already a hypostasis instantiates that universal and becomes human. Here, let me show you.
That makes sense, yeah.
Shoot. So look. So now that because he the son who's a divine hypostasis. Okay, he's a divine hypostasis already. He assumes humanity as a whole to himself because he's deity, he's God by nature. He can do that. He's infinite, which is also why Christ must be God to incarnate, to assume and save all of humanity, the whole of human nature, to redeem the whole of human nature, he must be an infinite being to assume something like that to himself. Now, he assumes all of the whole of humanity. And then he, the person, the hypostasis that is already divine, instantiates the humanity and is now human. So, your immediate question is, how then does it work? How is it working as far as the two natures go? Okay. So we have to establish that the humanity that Christ assumed does not have its own hypostasis. That would make Christ two persons, and he is not. He's not two persons. So the humanity that Christ, oh, he dropped. Okay, he said he just watch him here. Okay, no problem. I'll still explain it though. So the humanity that Christ assumed himself when he instantiated it, right? He's not a human hypostasis because the humanity does not have its own hypostasis. He is a divine hypostasis, and the divine hypostasis instantiated in humanity and became human. This is what it means by the word became flesh. That's what that means. So the Logos, who is God, John 1:1, became flesh, assumed humanity to himself, instantiated humanity, and became human. Now, so we're not confused. Assuming something to yourself does not mean you yourself changed. Okay? The Son, who's a divine person, the divine will and all that, incarnates, right? So he takes of Mary, the human nature, assumes the whole of humanity to himself, and then when he assumes humanity to himself and becomes human. And he has, so look, the natures are united in the person of the Son, who's divine by nature, assumes humanity to himself, and so now the divine nature and the human nature subsist, or he subsists in both, and they subsist in him. They are united in him. One person in two natures. So he remains a divine hypostasis that has instantiated humanity, which he assumed the whole of to himself. This is why when he assumes it to himself, the human nature is permeated by his divinity. Human nature is permeated by his divinity, which is why he can do things like walk on water, supernatural things, and then he dies via the human nature and resurrects, and now the human nature has a glorified body. Still human, but it is glorified. So now it is incorruptible. It cannot undergo that death and condition. But again, remember what all that means? Let's go back. Let's go back. The person of the Son. Oh, back up. person of the Son, assumed human nature to himself, and the human nature has operations that are proper to it: walking, sleeping, eating, mortal, etc. Right? And it has things pertain to it: body, soul, rationality, animality. So when he assumed human nature to himself, he assumed these things to himself, and he now has these things: a body, a soul, rationality, animality, via the human nature. The nature, remember, is going to be what? The principle of operation. What is operation? Actions, but persons do the operations. So the person of the Son does stuff, and the stuff that he does is going to be the communication of idioms, or divine, in a divine human way, like walking on water. Okay? Now again, since persons do stuff, and the person who's a divine hypostasis is God by nature, the stuff that he's gonna do is gonna be via the natures, since the natures are the principles of operation. So when we say that God, picking out the person of the Son, did a thing like die, or which is undergoing a condition, because conditions are undergone, well, what then is death? The separation of the body and the soul. Well, how can he have his body and his soul separated? Only through the means by which their capacity is possible. The human nature, because only the human nature has a body and a soul. So the person that does this thing, doing stuff, undergoes this condition via the human nature. Not via the divine nature, because the divine nature doesn't have a body or a soul. So it doesn't have the capacity to undergo a condition like death. But remember, the divine nature is his, and persons do stuff. So these things that are pertaining to the natures can be predicated and said about the person. The person of the Son, when he incarnated, was mortal via the human nature. Oh no, back up. Back up. There we go. The person of the Son is also immortal via the divine nature. Because again, the Son can't undergo death in a capacity which you can't undergo death, since death is a separation of the body and the soul. So the Son, who is divine by nature, is immortal because there's no body and no soul for it to separate from via the divine nature. Because conditions are undergone via persons. Conditions are undergone. To undergo something is an operation. Persons do operations. You say, oh, wait a minute, Dom, wait a minute. Isn't the human nature in a condition, though? The human nature is fallen. It's in a condition. Yeah, but how do we get there? Adam did it. Adam did something that put us in a state. He underwent a condition. Because persons do stuff. Is everybody tracking?
Yeah.
Whatever. Rest.
I'm glad we're talking about the hypostatic union. I don't know if you glimpsed it at all today. I got invited up on Kayla's panel to speak to. Listen to this lineup.
Yeah, I saw a little bit. That's why I made this live.
Bro. Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, bro. Kayla, Kiki, Gina, and Brother Bishop. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Painful, bro.
Yeah.
Every I say this with the utmost sincerity in my heart. I don't think they didn't strawman a single thing that I said. I don't think they accurately represented a single thing that came out of my mouth.
Yeah.
But yeah. And like I said, amazing topic. They seem to be attacking like the hypostatic union now. I don't know why. Probably because they're getting called out for historianism so often, but
Yeah, they're in a story. But it's okay. What is it that they? Can you repeat it? Did I go? I'm pretty sure. I'm almost sure I went over what they were objecting to. But
yeah.
what did they actually say? I can address it directly this time.
Yeah, it was like a really botched syllogism, where they're just trying to say that actions terminate in a person. Okay, the argument is literally just it says that God is immortal. If Jesus is God, how he die? That's literally the argument at the end of the day.
Okay, so
And they're
basically
like,
what I just said.
yeah, because they're trying to produce a contradiction. Because Kayla wants to say something like, the actions are going to be predicated to the person. The action of death is predicated to the person who's both immortal and mortal, if this is true. Ergo contradiction. But
No.
like I said, over 5 times, like ridiculously like many times, it's going to be in different respects. For example, when we say like I gave her an example and she couldn't answer me. Like when you say the Father is immortal, like that doesn't mean that he's capable of dying. The whole reason he's immortal is because he doesn't have a body. He can't die. He can't cease to exist.
Yeah.
His soul can't separate from his body because he doesn't have a body. But it was just a battle around. But yeah, the argument was literally just if Jesus God, how die? That's like just the argument though. Like I'm being so real. Like no proper rules of inference, no substantiation beyond just saying it over and over again. It's just bad.
Well, hopefully, they may see this live, and they may do something.
And then what really fried me is that Gina, of all people, tried to talk about metaphysics. She tried talking about the predicate problem.
She doesn't know what she's
which is so funny because I asked her, could you properly articulate the problem? Like I asked her, is it a dilemma? Is it a problem? And she couldn't explain it at all. Which is obviously what it wants to say is that you have 2 antithetical property sets applied to one subject, but I mean, obviously that's a little more of an advanced argument.
Yeah. Property sets being applied to the subject. In what respect? Like that's the part that they like. They purpose. I don't know if it's purposeful or if they're just dumb. They purposely leave it out. For instance, I say you're immortal. You, Russ, you're immortal. Well, how? Well, because your soul can't cease to exist, so you're gonna live forever. But what about your body? Well, you're not immortal in regards to your body because your body will cease to exist or it'll be destroyed.
Yeah. Oh, and then she also tried making like these like really like it was literally just all semantics and equivocation. That's why it was like really strange. She tried to say like they're asking if like the human body is necessary for human nature, which obviously not. And then the other thing is like they're trying to equivocate between the nature and the person by asking if the person separates from the body.
Which he doesn't. Which he doesn't, by the way. I need y'all to understand this. Damascus and Athanasius all say this. The logos remain. This is in our hymns. The logos remained united to soul and body. We understand this.
Even in death, when his soul sucks up?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, the logos doesn't look. Let me put on it. Okay, so that's actually. Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, that's something that's probably like the only thing that I mean I answered it fine. They didn't really like they didn't really dig into it beyond just like equivocating, but yeah, that's something I'd want to see covered. I don't know. You said Damascus talked about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. Let me find it. Okay. How do I want to do it? Okay, so remember. When the Son the person, the hypostasis of the Son, assumed human nature to himself, right? What he has,
I get it.
what he has is a body and a soul. These are united to the Logos. Just because the body and the soul separate doesn't mean that they're not united to the Logos anymore. Because what did he assume to himself? The whole of humanity. He's God. He's infinite. He's boundless. He's not circumscribed to the body. He's deity. So when the body when the whole of humanity is assumed to the person of the Son, and the person that does the stuff undergoes death, and that condition that the person is in is this, that his body is separated from his soul, it does not follow that his body and soul are separated from him. Being separated from each other does not mean that they're separated from him. He is still united through his body and his soul. Now they're gonna say, "How? The same reason why you think the Father is on earth and in heaven at the same time." Like what? The same way and reason why you think that God is everywhere and also in heaven. Huh? Reason why Jesus can say the Son of Man who is on heaven while he's on earth talking to Nicodemus. Like what?
That makes sense.
Like what?
One thing, I think I might have accidentally repeated the heresy earlier, but
I mean,
now that I'm recalling the conversation, I think it was just an equivocation on person, and separation, just an equivocation on the word separation, but that's fine because like I said, like the person separates from the body, the soul, but now I know to like clarify properly. That's like not what I'm actually saying, but yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Do you know what work Damascus specifically says this in?
Here, let's pull up the handy dandy.
Yeah, I was gonna say it might just be in the handy dandy.
Do you have access to the handy dandy, right?
Yeah, I have to like reset. I just recently moved, so I'm in the process of getting a job, so I'm like really tight on passion everything right now. So I'm waiting for my first paycheck if I get this job, which hopefully I will. Waiting on a paycheck, and I'm gonna resubscribe to the Patreon. But yeah, right now it's still running, so I still have the handy dandy.
Okay.
Oh, also, Dom, you remember the other day on Wisdom's panel when we were talking to the modalists, like Jay, and then the other guy? The other guy was Brother Bishop, right?
I think so.
Yeah, cause bro, I won't get to it like deep into it, but I confront when he was on like Kayla's panel. I was like, "Well, you said like F my Lord the other day on panel." He's like, "No, it's not me, man." And it's like, I was gonna say like I'm like most certainly being gaslit right now because I know it was you.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah, that's probably the only thing that I was like unsure about.
D. Pratt, no, your body and your soul are receiving immortality because they're forever united. Immortality means you not dying. Death is the separation of body and soul. Your soul no longer dies. Same with your body, because it's not going to be separated from each other anymore. So both are receiving immortality as a whole. Okay, so St. John of Damascus says, Says, wherefore, although he died as a man and his Holy Spirit was severed from his immaculate body, yet his divinity remained inseparable from both. I mean, from his soul and his body. And so even thus, his one hypostasis was not divided into two hypostases.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
It says, although at the hour of death, body and soul were separated from each other, yet each of them was preserved, having the one hypostasis of the Word. And though the soul is separated from the body in space, yet they remain hypostatically united through the Word.
Okay, that makes sense. So essentially, just the one subject, and we would say that he still has his body due to his omnipresence, or what?
Yeah. So this is
Okay.
what Nyssa says, right? It's not Nyssa. Nienzius, the Greco theologian, says. He says, the Godhead is inseparable from them, even in the separation of soul from the body in the voluntary passion. For where the soul of Christ is, there is the Godhead also, and where the body of Christ is, there also is the Godhead. Hippolytus of Rome also says, For lo, the only begotten entered the soul among souls, God the Word with the human soul, for his body lay in a tomb, not emptied of divinity, but as while in Hades he was an essential being with his Father. So was he also in the body and in Hades, for the Son is not contained in space.
Okay, that makes. Okay, so that's just the uncircumcision. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It would. Is it like? How do I say this? Is it like more unique than just like simple omnipresence? Because I mean, I don't know if it needs to be,
Well,
or
it's
is it
more
just like
about
omnipresence implicator?
it's more about not being circumscribed. Like the person is not circumscribed to, which means contained, right,
Yeah.
to the humanity. And that's because he is God by nature and the and therefore omni.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
So John Damascus is it's exact exposition of Orthodox faith.
Okay. And you guys
And
really taught everything.
yeah, no, for sure. And then for Gregor of Nyssa, he's pulling from it's Philip Schaff's Nyssa Volume 5. Gregor of Nyssa.
Okay.
And
I also realized earlier, like when after speaking to Gina, Kiki, and Brother, when I like left the stage, I realized like, don't Nestorians actually like, technically speaking, don't they believe that God actually didn't die for their sins?
I don't know about that. It's so how they'll say it, right? So the hypostatic union for them is two hypostases united in one prosopon or one mask. For us, it's two natures in one hypostasis.
Right.
Their terminology is different. So they technically have two sons in one,
Yeah.
but they don't profess two sons.
Right. But one son isn't divine though. One son isn't God. Like,
Correct.
if I were to like really look into their position, like they'd actually like for like even Walter says this: the son is not God. Like
Right.
none of them actually believe that.
Right.
So that's why I like say that at all, because like, okay, if we have son A and son B under the Nestorian worldview, where son A is divine and son B is just the human existence. If only the human existence dies, then well, that it's like I don't know how they are, because they never ever practice apologetics, so I can never ask about their position.
Yeah.
So like I can never understand if they believe in like a true separation, like a true obviously can't be a distinction because they believe like the human son is like oh, that's my dog, sorry. They believe that like the human existence is like its own person and everything.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't know, bro.
It's weird. So.
But you see how I can think
Mac,
that? Like, you see how I kind of get there?
Yeah. Well, so Mac believes. So Professor Mac, he believes that.
Oh my gosh.
So for him,
you see me talk to him earlier today?
Nah, bro. I didn't. But
I had to teach him what an equivocation was.
Yeah. Ever since he brought up his graph, everybody's been seeing what I've been saying. He'd be contradicting himself. So look, this is what Mac does. This is what Mac believes. Mac believes that the sun, right? So for a human is a body, a soul, and a spirit. That's what Mac that's for Mac. That's what a human is: body, soul, and spirit. Right?
Makes sense.
And that's individual substance of rational nature. Right? That's for him. Okay, body, soul, and spirit. Now, the body, soul, that's the man Christ Jesus, the Son. But the spirit part, that's the Father. For Mac. So he's like a mixture between Apollinarianism and Nestorianism. It's an interesting mix. Hybrid type mix.
So brain dead, bro.
Yeah. So for him, the Christ, the Son, right? It's gonna be the same. The Son and the Father are technically the same. Well, for Mac, it's weird. They're the same, but depending on the context, because it's two different realities, they could not be the same. So it's two
He probably doesn't
selves.
even know what he believes, bro.
Here, so it's two selves, but one person. For Mac. And by self, he simply means like a reality of sorts. And by person, he means individual substance, which he can't actually define. Right?
Wait, by self he means what?
Like a reality, expressed reality. That's what he means by self.
But he's gonna say that that it is just gonna be two persons because he's gonna
He
say
doesn't
that
think self and person are mutually exclusive.
Well, he would just I guarantee I didn't even need him to say it. I guarantee you he would just say that the express self qua humanity is its own person. Guarantee you he'd say that. If not, then like what is it? Like and it's just like it's either going to be like a hardcore like flesh suit where the father's just like piloting it, or it's just going to be like, but that would be so bad for the world. Like it's just so bad on every level, bro.
He essentially just conflates person and nature and then puts them in and smashes them together. It is what it is. But
yeah.
All right.
I don't know if I have anything else.
For sure. Let me. Somebody else wants to come up.
No, of course, bro. God bless. Have a great night.
God bless you, bro. Be safe.
You too.
Yeah, we're gonna get to these guys and I'm gonna wrap it up because it is late for me. Hello.
Yeah, what's up, Dom?
What's poppin'?
Nothing. I was in the chat, and it's this whole non-salvational. I'll start off by that because I'm a Trinitarian. But this whole topic of death, and I'm just very confused on. The Bible is really clear on what death is and what it's not, and the Bible very clearly teaches that death is asleep. Like Jesus said this like 4 or 5 times, and there's no really verses in my eyes that prove that when you die, you continue to live. And when we were going back and forth in the chat, you had chimed in. I said, okay, it's a bodily resurrection, right? So I was asking a brother, why is it a bodily resurrection if your soul goes to heaven? And if that's you, why, when Christ comes back, do you have a bodily resurrection if you're already in heaven? Why do we have to have a bodily resurrection? I said it's because the body is a part of what the soul is according to Genesis. Because in Genesis, it says God made man out of the dust, which is the body, and he breathed the spirit, which is the ruach, the breath, and man became a living soul. So a soul is the body plus the spirit. So, it's not a salvational thing. I don't try to make it a big ordeal, but, I don't know why is this so confusing when it's clear to me that, what it is what it is to die in the Bible, it calls it a sleep. But we want to make it in like we still alive and we're somewhere. And the people who go to hell, I ask this question, well, what do the people who go to hell go? And they say, well, I don't know. They go to the grave or they go to the lake of fire. What do the people who don't go to heaven go? Because my whole thing is you can't be judged before judgment day. Judgment day doesn't happen till Christ returns. So how we got people burning in a lake before Judgment Day?
So let me ask you:
That's exactly.
do you think that? So you're saying that death and sleep are identical?
Yes, Jesus called death asleep multiple
So
times
every
in the
time you
Bible.
go to sleep at night, you die.
No, it wasn't
So then it's
literal,
not.
but
So
it
then it's
was.
not identical.
But he was basically saying death is not actually asleep, but he was referring to death as asleep.
The reason why
That's what happens when you die.
the reason why he affirms or he associates death with being as akin to sleep is because it's temporary. That's the point.
I agree.
Not
I
that
agree.
not that sleep is death. Death is an actual condition where the spirit or the soul separates from the body. This is why Ecclesiastes 12 and Christ himself says that when he before he dies, he says, "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit." Right?
Hmm.
So the spirit separates from the body, the soul separates from the body. Says it goes
Well,
back to
nah,
God, and then the body goes to the ground. So that's a
okay,
condition. Now,
I agree, but
brother, I didn't interrupt you not one time when you were speaking.
I'm not trying to interrupt you, Dom. I'm not.
Okay, just relax. Let me just finish saying. As far as the awareness and where we go, it seems like you're implying that we have no type of awareness after death. And this is not true because Paul himself says that our citizenship is in heaven, from where which we wait for the return of the Lord. So we wait if we are in Christ. After you pass, when you go to Christ, as our Christ, Paul says, to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. So for those in Christ, you are aware, and you are going to Christ, and you wait from heaven. Now, resurrection. Why there's a bodily resurrection is because what death is the separation from the soul and the body. So the soul and the body undergo a resurrection, which is a type of restoration. And what's being restored is the union between the soul and the body. And when you're talking about Genesis, when it says that man became a living soul, yes, it's talking about the being. The word right there is nephesh, right? But that's used in a different manner, a different context. We're talking about from a metaphysical standpoint. Everybody is a nephesh. They're a being, a living being. We're simply saying that what pertains to this being is a soul and a body and spirit. But spirit and soul are essentially the same thing. They can be used interchangeably. All right.
Okay, so I hear what you're saying, but this doesn't align with the Bible. In Psalms 146:4, if people are wanting to say that you have a consciousness or thoughts after you die, it literally contradicts the Bible. Psalm 146:4 says that the man goes back to the dirt, his spirit, in the context is breath. You keep saying soul, but it's literally spirit. The breath, like in Genesis, got put into the man, and the breath, not soul, the breath of man goes back to God. Right? So you're not a living soul if you die, because a living soul means nefesh, which means living. You're alive because you have a body and spirit. So when it talks about death, it says the body goes back to the dirt and the spirit goes back to God. And then it says, in that very day, your thoughts perish. Well, how do you have consciousness if this verse says your thoughts perish? That means your consciousness, you don't have consciousness when you die. It says in that very day, your thoughts perish away. And a lot of verses say the dead know not nothing. And then another verse says the dead do not praise the Lord. But we're sitting here saying that we have some sort of consciousness after we die, but the Bible is saying the opposite. It's saying that your thoughts perish, that the dead know nothing, and the dead do not praise the Lord. Well, I thought if when we die, we go straight to heaven, we should ought to be praising the Lord, but it says the dead do not praise God. And these are the verses that we have to look at and say, okay, what are these verses talking about? Because when it speaks about death, the Bible is clear. Again, Jesus called death asleep when he rose Lazarus. Again, he said Lazarus sleeps, and the disciples said, oh, if he sleeps, he'll be well. He'll be all right, because they thought he was just referring to a sleep. Jesus specifically said Lazarus is dead. He compared a sleep to death because that's what death is. That's why when you read the rest of the chapter, when Mary spoke, she said, "Oh Lord, I know you're going to raise him at the last day." Mary said, "Oh, I know he'd be well. I know he's going to get raised up, meaning your bodily resurrection at the last day. That's judgment day when Christ returns." And verses as well say that all that are in the grave are going to hear his voice. The dead in Christ shall rise first. That's referring to us. That's referring to us being in the grave are going to hear his voice first, and then we're going to rise first. There's no scripture that clearly says that when we die, we're still conscious and that we go to some hell or heaven after we die. It's just not clear.
It's literally on the screen. See what it says? See the highlighted part?
Oh yeah, it says, which we also eagerly wait for the Savior. Eagerly wait.
So let's read it all. I don't know why you read the half of it. That was weird. It says, "For our citizenship is in heaven, from which also we eagerly wait." Where do we wait from?
We don't wait from heaven.
Let's read it again. For our citizenship, what does citizenship mean?
That's not literally saying when you die, your citizenship is in heaven.
What does citizenship mean?
That you're a part of.
Citizenship is where your residency is. It's where you reside. That's what citizenship is. Okay? So where we reside is in heaven, from which also we eagerly wait. Where do we wait from?
Why do we have to wait for Jesus in heaven? That doesn't make any sense. If we're in heaven, why are we eagerly waiting to where we already are? That's why I said you got to answer those scriptures that said that the thoughts of the dead perish in that very day.
I'm just ask one more time. I'll address your scriptures. No, it's not an issue. But you have to see the clear scriptures that's dead in front of your nostrils right now. It says that our citizenship is in heaven, from which also we eagerly wait for our Savior, the Lord Jesus Christ. Why are we waiting for him? Because what is he going to do? Verse 21. Who will transform the body of our humble state into conformity with the body of his glory. For by his working through which he's able to subject even all things to himself. So so we're waiting for Christ to resurrect us and reunite us to glorified bodies. But where are we waiting from according to verse 20?
In the grave.
Can you show me the word grave in verse 20?
It says, "Who will transform the body of our..."
That's verse 21. I'm asking about verse 20. I'm asking about verse 20. Can you show me the word grave in verse 20?
You got to read it all together, brother. It says the body, though. The body is in the grave.
Can you show me the word grave in verse 20?
No, I can't show you that. But
okay,
when we read
then please let's not add words.
I was just reading the rest of it.
It says where we wait from. Where does it say in verse 20 where we wait from?
Yeah, it says in heaven, but it
Okay,
also says who
so
will transform the body of
yes,
our. The body is in the grave.
that's
Would
fine.
you agree?
The body can be in the grave. That's totally fine. But the
Right.
soul or the person goes to heaven and
There's
waits
no
from
scripture that
heaven.
says your soul
It's
goes to heaven.
dead in your face. For our
Can you show me a
citizenship,
scripture that says your soul goes to heaven?
our citizenship
Okay. Don,
is
can you show
in
me
heaven. I'm showing you right now. Our
a
citizenship
particular verse
is
that says your
in
soul goes to heaven?
heaven.
A particular verse that says your soul goes to heaven when you die. Any verse.
If our citizenship is in heaven, what's in heaven?
No, because you just said your soul's in heaven.
Yeah.
I just want
Yeah.
to see a verse that says that.
Look, bro. Look. If our citizenship is in heaven, that means we're in heaven. Well, what a part of us is in heaven?
Nothing is in heaven.
So then how are we waiting from heaven? Because this is what it says. It says
Yeah.
we're waiting from heaven.
You're not waiting in heaven.
All right, bro.
Because the Bible says that you don't have thoughts when you die.
You can show them as much. We can. It is sometimes, folks. You can show them something that's literally dead in front of their face. It's dead in front of their nostrils. This is what the Bible talks about: having eyes but cannot see, ears but cannot hear. For our citizenship is in heaven. Is in heaven. We don't wait from heaven. From which also we eagerly wait. Now, if anybody wants to know when it talks about thoughts perishing and this and that, these are Hebrew idioms showing the condition of death having jurisdiction over you. In the New Testament, Christ says very clearly in John 11, okay? Oops. It's 13. In John 11, clearly states, he says, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live, even if he dies. He who believes in me, Christians, will live even if he dies. And everyone who lives and believes in me will never die. Ever. So in the New Testament, because Christ has defeated death, see these soul sleeper dudes, they undermined the effect of the incarnation and the resurrection of Christ. They don't understand the gospel. They miss the whole point of the gospel. So I'll say it to you. I'll share it with you for the sake of our Lord and Savior, Christos Anesti. The gospel is that God saves us from death. When we sinned against God, we fell under the jurisdiction of death, and our nature was corrupted. Well, since man can't redeem himself, since he's legally bound to death because of sin, God allowed he who knew no sin to be a sin offering for us. He who knew no sin is God himself. So God himself, takes on humanity, purifies our human nature because it's united to his divinity, and undergoes death, touching death and destroying death, because when life itself touches death, death is destroyed. So now all who unite to Christ, death has no jurisdiction over. And so when we quote unquote die or go under the condition of our soul separating from our body, we go to heaven. Because so death has no jurisdiction over us. This is why the scripture says, O death, where is your sting? I wonder. I wonder. What's his name? A.D. Pratt. When Jesus died, did he go to sleep? Where did he go? D. Pratt, where did Jesus go when he died? He was sleeping for 3 days. He wasn't alive somewhere in hell. Okay. Okay. When he resurrected, where did he go? When he resurrected, where did he go? Hmm? To heaven after he was seen. Okay. I'll see the screen. Truly I say to you, today you shall be with me in paradise. Where were they at? What day is the thief gonna be with Christ in paradise? What day? Hmm? Is is the grave paradise? Is is the tomb paradise? Yeah. Sounds just crazy. Ooh, snap.
Hey,
What up?
I think a good reason not to be Christian is that in the Old Testament, God dehumanizes slaves or poor people, people who sell themselves.
How does he
In
how does he
in
dehumanize them?
in Exodus 21:21, he says it ends with describing some kind of difference between the punishment for striking a slave and the punishment for striking a free man. And I don't think progressive revelation can explain it because it's like a prohibition on acting better rather than a suggestion.
So in the Exodus or in the Torah, these statutes that are given for how you treat a servant, If you
Yeah.
mistreat your servant, you have to let them go free. So if you damage your servant, they go free. So what do you mean it is dehumanizing?
Well, what do you think Exodus 21, 20 through 21,
I mean,
what does that refer to? Because
regardless of what it says, the rest of the statutes, there are statutes, because we're not gonna just cherry pick. There are other statutes that are put in place for the notion of when a slave or a servant is mistreated, and if a servant is mistreated with any type of abuse, they're let go free. So
But
how is it condoning or dehumanizing something?
well, see, do you think that the chapter prescribes the same punishment for striking a slave versus striking a free man?
If you strike
Although additionally the slave has to be let free.
if you strike a servant and you damage them, you have to be paid back whatever you strike them. So this is why it's called eye for eye, tooth for tooth, bruise for a bruise. You're not allowed to damage or abuse your servants. This is why God says do not rule over them oppressively. That's the whole point of Exodus. Exodus is about freeing slaves from oppressive slavery. It's like the whole point.
Well, then why would there need to be a difference like delineated at the end, a distinction given at the end of verse 21
Yeah, because
of chapter 21?
yeah,
Like
because
what difference does that describe?
because it's going to be the distinction in how one became an indentured servant. One's going to be an indentured servant if they're a citizen or an Israelite based off of putting themselves in debt, right? But one's going to be an indentured servant if you're like an immigrant or something like that, or being under that same covenantal law based off immigration. Regardless, you can't mistreat either one. That's the whole point.
Well, then why? But I think there is an allowance to mistreat in verses 20 through 21
because there's other statutes that literally state if you damage your servant, if you hurt your servant, you have to let them go free. So you can't say in totality that God is condoning a dehumanization. I don't know why we're sick arguing on this.
Well, I understand that there's some statutes that protect slaves, but this is one that requires you to not let a slave get revenge for some reason, and then it ends with the slave can't get revenge because he is property. Like, why would his slave status be relevant there?
Because one
at the end of 21.
Because one, vengeance is the Lord. I don't know what you're talking about. But let's read it. Let's read what you're talking about. Clearly, you just want to read it. Here,
vengeance is what?
The Lord's. Here, let's read it.
Oh, the Lord's. Well, I thought that's what the translation means. It's like it describes
20?
capital punishment.
Wait, you said Exodus 20?
It's 21, and then 20 through 21 are the verses. Yeah.
Okay, if a man strikes his male or female servant with a rod and he dies, that is saying he should really be punished. But if for a day or two he is able to stand, no punishment shall be taken, for he is his property. Oh, you talking about this one? Okay, so I thought you were talking about something else. Okay, cool. So this one here, when it's talking about the punishment or punish, it's talking about death, right? Because again, it's about
death for death.
Right. This is not meaning, right? This statute is covering the situation if he actually unalives, right? And it's saying that if after day or two he is able to stand, then he shouldn't die, right? Like you're not gonna, because what the punishment is death. If you unalive him, you're gonna be unalived. So if he lives, you're not gonna be unalived. However, however, if you go down, the other statute is about how people are treated in general. But if there's any further injury, then you shall pay life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burn for burn, bruise for bruise, wound for wound. Right? And if a man strikes the eye of his male or female servant and ruins it, he shall be get free on account of his eye. Now it's out of tooth, he shall let go free on account of his tooth. Right? So again, like the damaging of a servant, you are not able to mistreat them, or otherwise they go free. Whatever you do to someone else as far as harm, it's going to be done back to you. This is a universal statute applied to all. But this instance in which you're talking about here is talking about being a capital punishment of death. If a servant owner unalives a servant, you're going to be unalived. If you don't unalive him, then he's not going to be unalived. That's all I'm saying.
But that would be reiterating the same situation that already exists for striking freemen. So would you say the whole chapter?
How is it reiterating?
Because it's the same. It says if you kill him, you get capital punishment, and if you don't, then you don't. That's
Okay.
I mean that's how it works with
freemen. Yeah, that's what I just said. You're proving my point that you
But
can't mistreat people. If you mistreat people, the law is applied.
but then why would verse 21 end with "for he is his property"? I mean, doesn't that describe some kind of
It just
difference
simply
in the
means that
punishment?
it just simply means that this is who he's under as far as his indentured servitude to. But regardless, the whole point of the statute, it seems like you're trying to appeal to emotionalism here.
Well,
The
it
let
says
me finish.
"for." It says
Let me finish.
"because."
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes. This is It's fine, right? If he's an indentured servant, that's who he's under. This is what he's going to be in servitude to. But the whole point of the statute is that if this servant, that his quote unquote property, is unalived, the owner is going to be unalived. And if he's not unalived, then the owner won't be unalived. However, whatever is done, whatever injury is done, is going to be paid back. And if he's damaged, he goes free. This is how is this inhumane?
Well, I think the tooth for a tooth part would only apply to freemen. I mean,
No, it
there's
doesn't say
parts
that.
of the
It doesn't
there's
say
parts
that.
of the slave verses that
It
specify.
doesn't say that. It doesn't say this only applies to free men.
Right, but there's parts in the slave verses that don't appear anywhere else, like the 2-day thing. Like, what's that about? Like, why does there need to be a 2-day?
Because,
Why does he stand for 2 days? Like, what happens after the 2 days? What happens after 3 days?
if he's not, if he, it's talking about giving time. If he unalives, for example, right?
But that doesn't exist in the laws for freemen.
What do you mean it doesn't
For
exist in the laws?
the laws
for
for
freemen?
striking freemen, the only specification made is that you got to pay for his medical bills. There's no mention of like a 2-day period.
What law? What are you talking? If you unalive
I'm saying that
anybody,
this is a
hold
specification that's only in the slave verses.
I don't know why you're still talking. Hold on. This is talking about unaliving somebody.
Right.
Okay? It's talking about unaliving somebody. If he's unalived, he's going to be unalived. This applies to both free and slave. Because why?
Right.
Life for a life, tooth for a tooth.
And,
This applies universally.
so
I don't understand what you're like. What?
Well,
You're
because
presupposing
the
that there's a
four,
differentiation.
the 4 at the beginning of the last clause of verse 21 makes it like, doesn't that mean like because? Doesn't it mean since?
Why does it? Why? Okay,
Like it makes it seem like
let's
whatever,
say-
like the
let's say-
slave doesn't get,
let's
the
say
master
that-
doesn't get punished because of the slave status.
No, the
Like,
master,
why would else would it be
no,
relevant?
the master doesn't get punished because he doesn't die. But if he's
What-
able to stand
but
after
it-
2 or 3 days, then he's not going to die. You're taking punishment as in like any type of reprimandation.
No, I
the
understand it
punishment
refers
is
to
death.
capital punishment.
Okay, so
I
then
get
what
that,
is the actual
but
issue? I think you're hyper focusing on relax. I think you're hyper focusing on the property part, and
Right,
therefore
right.
property means inhumanity. But that's not
No,
that
no.
doesn't follow.
I know it means like money in the, or it can also mean money. I know it just means
I
they're
don't really
employee.
understand the issue though. I really don't understand the issue
because-
if it's only talking about not initiating capital punishment due to it not warranting capital punishment. However, because if he's injured, this separate statute that applies universally will apply to even the slave. Therefore, it's not inhumane. You haven't made an argument for why it's inhumane. Where's the argument that it's inhumane?
Because if your interpretation doesn't jibe with the text, because
It literally does.
ends with
What are you talking about?
what's that?
It literally does. What are you talking about?
Because it says because he is his property. You're acting like it's. I mean, what do you
How does
think?
that
why does
negate? Okay.
because it makes
Lord,
it.
give me
You
strength.
said it's the same.
How does it
you said
saying
it's,
for he is his property? How does that now negate what I said? How does it now
Because-
negate that this completely separate statute? Because these are statutes that are being listed off.
right?
How does it saying here at the end of verse 21, for he is his property? How does it now negate the completely separate statute of 23 and 26? Like what?
Because according to your interpretation, 20 through 21 is just a reiteration of the punishment for striking freemen. But if that's true, then why does
I
it
didn't
end
say
with?
that. What? I did not say that. What are you
I
talking
thought we
about?
established that. Okay, because the
No.
verses say
It's
the
talking
verses say
about
if
striking
you
the
kill.
servant, bro. It's talking about striking the servant. In
Right,
verse-
right.
in
It
verse
says
20, it's
if
talking about striking
it
the
says if you kill, then you're executed, and if you don't kill, then you're not executed. Right? I mean, that's the law for
Yes.
free men too, isn't it?
Yes, but just because it's a
So
law
it is
for
reiterating.
just because it's a law for freemen too, doesn't mean that this statute is not being said specifically for the servant.
I get
Because
that,
free
but
men
that's
aren't
what
servants.
but it is
For
reiterating.
so for
That's
Israel, I swear,
isn't
Lord,
that true?
hey, chat. Well, let me know whenever y'all ready, because he keep talking over me. Look,
Sorry.
just because it's talking about it twice, right? It's not a reiteration because it's simply applying what's applied to the freeman also to the servant.
Okay.
So I don't understand. So you have to actually answer my question. What is it about for he is his property? Why does that now negate what I'm saying about this completely separate statute of 23 and 26?
Because under your interpretation, the fact that the master isn't being punished isn't contingent on his slave status. If what you were saying was true, it'd end with because he exists, because he's human, not because he's his property. I mean, that makes his slave status irrelevant,
How
doesn't
does
it?
that
It makes it
negate?
contingent.
But how is
It
that
says
negating? Do you know
because.
what a negation is? How is that
Yeah,
negating what I'm
because that
saying
makes it not
about
a
23
reiteration.
and 26? Okay, let's say it's not a reiteration. How does it negate what I'm saying about
Because
23 to 26?
because your interpretation of this verse says that if you kill, you get executed, and if you don't kill, then you're not executed. That is what applies to freemen. Your interpretation doesn't work unless that's true.
Are you saying that it's not, bruv? Are you saying that 23 to 26 is not applying to slaves?
23 to 26. I don't think so, because there's specifications
No,
in
it
the
isn't.
slave verses
It's
that
not a
aren't.
specification.
There's
It's
nothing
not.
about two.
No, this is
No,
universal.
not that one. Not that
The
one. The stuff about
23
the
to
2
2.
days. There's nothing
Oh
about
my
2
God,
days,
bro.
and this only in the verses that specify that they're talking about slaves is this 2-day standing period. I mean, what do you think that
Hey, what do
means?
you think I'm saying? Hey, let me just make sure you're listening, because I think you're actually in bot mode right now. What do you think I'm saying?
You're saying that these verses, eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth, it applies to freemen, and that it applies to freemen and slaves equally, and that if you strike a slave, you not only have to let them go, but you also have to compensate them for the eye or whatever. But if that were true, then 20 through 21 would be a mere reiteration, but it doesn't end with for he exists, for he is human, and this is how it works for everyone. It ends with for he is his property. I mean, doesn't that mean some part of that is
All right.
contingent on his slave status?
So I'm gonna say this one more time.
What part am I missing?
Yeah. Here's the part that you're missing. I'm gonna say it one more time. I'm gonna say it slow. If you just regurgitate, I'm just gonna move on. Okay. 20 to 21 is talking about death, specifically death, and it's talking specifically about someone unaliving someone unjustly, and if they do so, if that servant owner does that to the servant, he is going to be unalived. However, if this indentured servant does not unalive, don't unalive the servant owner, because there are instances where this can happen, and the man can be injured and can seem like he's unalived. But so wait, give it some time to make sure he actually undergoes death, and then if he undergoes death, now you initiate this capital punishment. Okay, this is a specific statute for a specific situation. Okay, now there is a completely separate statute for 23 and through 24 and 25 that is universal. This applies to both free and slave. If there is any injury, then you shall pay life for life, right? So that covers death, not just death. It's one instance, right? Eye for eye, right? So now this isn't talking about eye. Tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burn for burn, bruise for bruise, wound for wound, to highlight equal retribution if someone mistreated someone else. They are repaid equally. Okay? Now, 26 is another separate statute. Another completely separate statute on the account of a servant. Okay, because we know this is the case because it specifies if it's about a servant and it specifies if it's about a freeman. If it doesn't, then it's universal. Okay, now for 26, it's another separate statute. If a man strikes the eye of a male or female servant, so now this is specifically about servants, and ruins it, he shall let him go free on the account of his eye. Same thing for a tooth and a man and all that stuff. The abuse. If you abuse, you go free. Okay? Now, none of this purports inhumane treatment because in every scenario, it's talking about retributing misconduct.
So the punishment for striking a slave would be almost double, you could say. You have to compensate them for the eye for the eye applies, and you have to let them go free. So it's actually more punishment for striking your slave than it would be for striking a free man almost. You lose your money and the
I didn't
blood money
mention
for the
anything about money. I don't know why you keep bringing up money. What I said was, well, if you want to know how it played out practically, if you damage the tooth of your servant, not only is your tooth damaged, but now your servant has to go free.
Well, or you can pay a blood price, right? Like
What?
I think that's how it works for. Okay, I heard that's how it works. Like you don't literally have to lose an eye; you just have to like pay the price of an eye.
Okay,
That's why I brought up money.
Whatever, bro.
And when I said losing his money, I meant like the slave dies.
Regardless, the retribution,
or you have to let them go. Rather,
the retribution is for each statute. It's like charges, right? 2 counts of manslaughter or whatever. A count of a so like if you go rob something, right, you are charged with armed robbery. You also, and if you end up unaliving somebody when you rob, now it's robbery with an armed weapon, right? Robbery, so it's robbery with an armed weapon, and unaliving, murder. Three different laws applied to you in one action. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay, so would you say that's a fair assessment to say that you get like a double punishment for harming your slave because you have to let them go and you have to do the eye for an eye thing?
Sure. I guess it's double. It's not about it being double. It's about the charges at hand.
Well, not double, just like there's 2 charges.
It's just about the charges at hand due to the condition at hand, right? If a servant is if somebody's not a servant, then they don't need to be let free. Like what?
Right.
So it's not about like this is better or more. It's just like the state and condition in which they're in.
Okay. All right. So there's no reason for the. I'm not taking issue with like the word property. I know that like it could also mean money. I'm not taking issue with the fact that it's like specifying for slaves or reiterating. I'm just saying that that one word for in verse 21 makes me think something is contingent on the slave status, but by what you're saying, 20 through 21 is a reiteration of the punishment for freemen. If you kill him, you get executed. If you don't kill him, you don't get executed. So why does it say the master shall not be punished for he is his slave? Like, why is the slave status relevant there? Why is it worth mentioning, especially after the word
about
for?
What you do to a servant. That's why it's saying for is his property, because the status because the scenario which is being spoken about is what's happening to a slave.
Well, sure, but it's giving the reason. It's explaining the reason for why the master isn't punished.
That's the reason why. I don't know why you're asking them.
But if you're correct, the reason would be they exist, that they're human. The fact that for he is a slave, that's just saying. You don't get my point. It's making it contingent. The word for makes it contingent on, but by what you're saying, the slave status isn't relevant to the master. It says the master won't get punished because the slave is his property.
The master's not gonna get punished because he didn't die.
Right, but also because the slave is his property.
Get punished.
It's right before the word. Isn't because a good stand-in for there?
Even if it's because of his property, again, the reason why it's for his property is because of the condition of the situation. You're saying it's
a universal rule.
It sounds like.
But there's no reason for it to be contingent on the slave status.
This one is the universal rule. This one is
Well, you're saying,
not
but this is
20
what we
to
talked about. You're saying
21.
it's reiterating
I
a
said it.
universal rule,
Hey, yo, this is
right?
crazy, bro.
I thought you admitted. I thought you
What's
said it
up?
was
What's up with this dude?
20 through 21 was
This
reiterating.
is not a universal rule. It
But
is
but it
talking
is
about a
reiterating one.
specific scenario. It's not reiterating because the
Oh, okay. I thought you said
scenario
it
that was
was. I'm sorry.
before is about non-servants. This is
Okay.
about
Well,
servants. So it's not a reiteration.
it's
an
reiterating it
it's
for
it's an
servants.
application for servants. Now I'm gonna ask this one last question, and you still haven't answered
I don't
it.
think
You
you're
haven't
not
actually
answering why
answered
the slave status is
what,
relevant. You're
bro.
saying it's the situation, but if what you're saying is true, then
I
it should
literally
say
answered it.
for he exists, for he is
No, it
human.
doesn't. No, it doesn't have to say that. It doesn't have to. So what's the argument that has to say that? What's the actual
Because
argument?
you're saying
I'm
it's
saying, what's
you're
the argument?
saying
Give
the
the
reason
argument.
that the master didn't
Give
get
the
punished is because he
argument.
didn't get killed,
Give
which
the
applies to all
argument.
humans.
Give the argument. Give the argument.
Because the thing you're saying applies to slaves in this context also applies to freemen. If you don't kill the guy, then you don't get executed.
That doesn't mean it's
So
not
why
irrelevant. That doesn't follow.
so
What's
why
the
does it say
argument?
because he is his
You're
property?
asking
It
me a
doesn't
question.
say
You're not
also
giving an
he's his
argument.
property.
You're not at. Why are you asking me a question? Give an argument to why. Give an argument to why.
Well,
You
it's an
can't say property.
inconsistency. It's
That's a
reductio
claim.
ad
That's
absurdum.
that's a claim. That's not given. Give the argument for that.
I explained it because by your interpretation, there's no reason that because he is his property should end like that. It should say
Yeah,
because
that's
he
your
is.
opinion. I just told you why it ends like that because it's a
Okay,
scenario.
well, I
Now
thought
you're
we
just
covered.
Now you're just
I thought we
disagreeing.
covered that.
Now you're just disagreeing, but you're not actually giving an argument why it can't be the case. Can you give an argument why it's the case? If you can't give an argument, then you're just making more baseless claims.
I don't know when I was muted. I tried to make the foundation. I thought we agreed that 20 through 21 was the same law as. I mean, it's applying it to slaves, but isn't it the exact same law that applies to freemen? If you
What
kill
law
him,
are
you
you
get
talking
executed.
about? What law are you
If
talking about?
if
What
I'm
law
talking
does
about the
apply
one
to
that
freemen?
says if you kill him, you get executed,
No, I'm
and
saying
if you don't, then you don't.
like in this same chapter, or is it a different? Is it a different one? Which one?
It's
Which one are you
it's in
talking
this
about?
chapter. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, where? Which one are you talking about?
It's towards the beginning. I mean, I'll have to
Okay, where?
close the app to look for it. Oh,
What?
was that it?
What's
Well, I think it's kind of. I'm getting updates on where it is late.
If a man contends with each other
But
and one
yeah,
strikes
I mean,
the other
isn't
with a
that
stone or with his fist and does not die but remains in bed, if he gets up and walks around outside with his staff, then he who struck him shall go unpunished. He shall only pay for his loss of time, and he shall take care of him until he's completely healed. Is what you're talking about?
No, I think it's. Oh, no, I think it's earlier. I think it's at the beginning. You know what I'm talking about? It just
No,
says
I
that
don't know
the
what you're talking
capital.
about now.
It's just there's capital punishment for murder. That's all it says.
He who strikes a
You don't-
man,
That's an
he who strikes a man so that he dies shall surely put to death. This one?
Yeah, that looks like it. I thought it was earlier, but he
So-
strikes a man so that he dies.
So he who strikes a
But
man
if he
dies,
lies in wait,
yeah. What about this?
yeah, what's this?
This
about?
is what you're
Well,
talking
I'm
about.
just saying, yeah, right. So I'm just saying, 20 by this logic, 20 through 21 should simply be a reiteration of what already applies to
Okay,
freemen and everybody. Is that if you
but
kill him,
this
you get
is
executed, and if you don't, you
is
don't.
this specifically what you're talking about? He who strikes a man so that he dies shall surely be put to death. This is what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
It's literally exact same explanation. I'm not gonna get it. Like, what are you talking about? It's
Well,
literally
then,
exact same
because
explanation.
but your explanation
If it's
doesn't account
if it's
for something
redundancy,
being contingent on the
if
slave
it's
status.
redundancy, what's the issue with it being redundancy? What's the issue?
N- like I said, I don't take any issue with the reiteration or the redundancy.
So then
Unless
what's the actual
because
issue,
it ends with
bro?
a phrase that makes it contingent on the slave status. You don't know.
How
It
is
says
it
because.
okay?
It says because he is
Even
his
if
property.
it says that,
When
so
there's an if then,
what? If it
because
says
if there's
that,
an if,
hold on. Just because it says for his property, what problem is that presenting? Like, what's the issue?
because when the phrase comes before the word because, it makes it contingent on the phrase that comes after, doesn't it?
Oh my
So,
God.
but it's not. But if you're
Why
correct,
is
then it's
that
not
a
contingent on the slave status at
problem?
all.
Why
It
is
should,
that
like
a
I said, it should say
problem?
for he is human.
But it doesn't.
Not
So
for he
what's
is his
the
property.
issue?
It shouldn't be relevant.
What is the issue?
Because
It
that-
doesn't. Like, you're not telling me what the problem is, bro. You pissing me off.
I
You're
said-
getting
what do
me
you-
irritated.
your
just making all you're
interpretation
saying,
isn't
bro. All you're
consistent.
saying is just we did it about the property. Why do you think about the property? Even if it says about the
No,
property, even if it says it's
it
about
can
his
say money. It can say money.
even
My
if it
point is the
says
same.
even if it's about his contingency on property, of him being property,
Right.
it does not negate what I'm saying. You haven't presented how it negates what I'm saying. I'm gonna give you one more opportunity. Oh my mother! If you don't actually give an argument and an highlight of how it negates what I said, I promise you, I'm playing the
Should we go to
bot
bed
mode
right
game.
now?
I'm just moving on.
Sorry.
Like, what is this? So let's go back down. I'll say it again for you. Let me know when you're ready, so we don't have to keep doing this over and over again.
Oh, hey, are you still there?
Yeah, did you get in trouble?
No.
Okay, look. Say it one more time. I need you to actually present an issue of the negation of what I am saying. Okay? You have not presented any negation. You're just saying, "Well, I just said property, so why would he say property?" None of that is
property.
negating
It
what
can
I'm
say
saying.
money. It could say money or
Cool.
employee, and
Let's
it would
say
be
it
the
says
same.
dog doo-doo. It still doesn't negate what I'm saying. So you have to present
That's
why
exactly
it's negating
my
what I'm
point.
saying. How is it negating what I'm saying? It's not negating anything that I'm saying, bro.
The only thing I can say is that you don't see what I mean when I say
No,
interpretation would
I don't
have
see
to
what you're
make
saying. I
would
don't see
have
what
to
you're saying.
make the end of verse 21 say because he is human, because what you're
Oh my God, bro.
because you're
Okay,
saying
all right, bro.
the
Like,
law
what
applies
now?
to everybody.
What now, bro? What happens now? How is it inhumane? Tell me how it's inhumane. Because that's literally what you initially come up
I
here
know,
for.
because it's
So how's
creating
it?
a distinction between the punishments.
How?
I mean, what do you think?
What's the distinction between the punishments?
Well, I think it's one thing, but
What?
I can explain that.
What is the
But
distinction between the punishments?
I can explain that, but I think it's still,
What
and I
is
will if
the
you,
distinction between the punishments? I'm not asking if you can explain it. I'm asking you, what is it? What is the distinction between the
because
punishments?
it when it says if for a day or two he stands, no punishment shall be taken.
Okay.
It means what it's talking about is the slave dying after the 2 days.
Okay. What's the distinction between the punishments?
Well, it describes the slave dying in both cases. It's just that he remains. What that word "stand," what it means there is to remain or to continue. What it says
So how
if
is
the
that
slave
how is that distinct
remains.
from the other punishment?
Because what that's describing is a slave who dies and then the master still isn't punished because he already lost the money. That's why it ends with "for he is his money."
How is that distinct from the other
Be-
punishment? What is the other? Let me help you out. Let me help you how to describe distinctions.
The other
Damn.
the other
The other
punishment is
punishment says
execution for murder.
XYZ, right? The other punishment says
Execution
XYZ.
for murder.
This
Yes.
one says XY. This one says B, X, and Y. Do you see how
Right.
we made the distinction?
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
what's the distinction between the two punishments? What does punishment number 1 say over here? And what does punishment number 2 say over here? That's different. That's what I'm asking for.
For Freeman, it's a straight up if you murder someone, you get executed rule.
Okay.
But in this verse, it says if the slave remains for 2 days and then dies, the master isn't punished. But that's still murder, isn't
That's
it?
not true.
There's no,
What? That's
there's
not
no
what.
distinction.
That's not what it says. Wow, you're crazy.
That's
It
what I
literally-
was describing.
No.
That's
Okay.
why I
So
tried
okay.
to
So nah. Yeah. Then
get that
you're
through
trash
before.
at describing stuff. That's crazy.
Okay,
That's
right,
not what
well,
it
we can-
says. It literally says. It does not
Well,
say.
look-
Hold
look
on.
at-
Hold
Look
on.
at the original Hebrew.
It does not say if after a day or two he dies, no punishment. That's not what it's saying. So what you're essentially trying to say is, oh, well, if after 5 days he dies, then he doesn't have to have that capital punishment. That's what you're saying, basically? Is that what you've been trying to say this entire time? That, oh, it's only limited to a day or two. But what happens after, if it's a week? It takes a week for him to unalive. Is that essentially what you're saying?
Then the master is given a capital punishment, yeah, because that counts as
So then,
murder.
then what's the issue? What's the difference between the two ones then? If you're saying that the master will still unalive even after 7 days, then what is the difference between the two punishments?
the slave has to die within 2 days for it to count as murder. Otherwise, it's considered like indirect.
So then
That's
you're
what the
okay.
that's
So
what the
then
law
you're
is.
so then you're saying that if it happens in 5 days, if it happens in 5 days, then the master won't receive that capital punishment. Is that what you're saying?
Right, exactly. And
Yeah.
after
That's
2
what you've been
days.
trying to. So that's what you've been trying to say this entire time. Okay.
No, I mean that's
That's
not
literally what
relevant
you've been
to
trying
the.
to say this entire time. It's crazy.
No,
So
no, what I was trying to point out was the distinction given in the last part of verse 21. It says because he is his property.
the only distinction that you're saying is
It
that
makes the lack of
the,
punishment contingent on the slave
the
status.
only distinction that you're trying to say is that for the freeman, there's no time period.
Right.
In the slave, there is a time period. That's the only distinction
Right,
you're
and
trying to
if
say.
the slave
Okay.
dies within 2 days, then the master isn't punished.
Okay.
Or then
Okay.
the master is punished.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
that proves it was murderous intent.
Okay.
If he
Whoa,
remains, which is
no.
what the original Hebrew says, if he remains for
no.
2 days, then it counts as not murder.
Okay.
But the slave is still dead, and it's still murder.
Okay. So
And that's
so
what it
look,
would be for freemen. It's just straight. If you
What
murder
is up
someone,
with-
you get
what's up
executed.
with
There's
this
no
dude?
there's no time frame given for except in the slave verses.
because it's definitive that he's murdered in those other passages. It's definitive. If it was definitive for the slave that he was murdered, then the slave owner would be unalived as punishment. But it's talking about this scenario of being hit with a rod, right? And
Right, and then dying after 2 days.
bro, no. It says
That's what it describes. It says if they remain for 2
Yeah,
days. So if they die after 2 days,
but
they
if
lived
we're-
long enough. It proves there was no murderous intent.
But
It proves it was just
does not.
discipline.
It does not say no murderous intent. It doesn't
I
say
know
that.
that.
So please stop adding.
I'm aware,
So
but I'm
look,
just
it
trying to
says-
explain it to you.
It literally no. I'm saying your interpretation is incorrect. It's not about murderous
I get
intent.
that.
It's not about murderous intent.
Then what's
It's
with the
about
2-day time period?
to see if he died.
But why?
That's the whole point.
What do you mean to see if he dies? To what end?
Because you're injured someone. Just because you injured
Right.
someone doesn't mean that you unalived them. But if you unalive them due to succumbing to their injuries, you're going to be unalived as a punishment. But
So
if,
that-
but regardless, because initially your
But
polemic
that's still
was
murder.
hold on,
Just because
your-
they die 2 days later doesn't mean it's not murder.
nobody said that's not the case.
That's
Why do you keep
but that's what the
interrupting?
verse is saying.
No, it's not. It's saying if he remains alive, then don't unalive him.
Oh, for
That-
2
but
days,
but
and then
that
what
doesn't
happens
mean-
after
but
the
that
2
doesn't-
days?
Yeah, if he unalives after the 2 days, and those injuries, or he unalives as succumbing to the injuries that was sustained, this statute applies. Any further injury, then you pay life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand,
But-
foot for
but
foot,
if the
bruise
slave-
for bruise, burn for burn, wound for wound. So then
you're-
it doesn't matter the time period afterhand. This talking about a specific notion at hand. If after the 2 days, I'm answering your question, dog, do not repeat the same thing. If after 2 or 3 days, the servant unalives, this completely separate statute will then be put in place by the judges if the injuries are succumbing to for that interaction.
Okay, so you're admitting that this describes the slave dying after 1 to 2 days. That's still
So I told him. I told him. What are we doing? Like, God, bro, this is insane. It's insane. Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious, bro. But he might actually be dumb. But he might actually be dumb. Guys, case in point, you can't mistreat people. Therefore, God does not support inhumane treatment. Like, what? What is going on? What's up with this dude? Sheesh. Okay. All right. With that being said, it is 11 something for me. It is time for me to go to sleep. It's time for me to go to sleep. But he's still in bot mode. All right, guys. Twice a Good Live. It seems like we got this new chat going. I'm looking also for on YT to have a better like display setup, right? Like I got like my little topic up top here, but I want it to be like fancier somehow, some way. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to still kind of convey me as like the main attraction, but then like the background, or not background, the title, you know, being you know, the whole theme as well. So it's perfect for me now. Just trying to figure that out. But all right, y'all. God bless you guys in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Be safe. Stay safe. Christos Anesti.